It's earlier than that, like, people on there. Anyway, this, I don't know. Oh, that, no, you know. I think it looks great.
I like the view. It's so fun.
Maybe it's further away from.
Call to order this regular meeting of the Portland City Council. It's Tuesday, June 11th, 2024, 6 p.m. That clock's a little fast, almost 6:01. We'll start with the pledge of allegiance with the prayer reading and the first thought on council members' meetings.
That is good, right? To pledge allegiance
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Heavenly Father, we're thankful for this opportunity we have to serve the community at this time. And we're thankful for the residents that are here today and for the celebration that we're about to have on this day. Father, as we come together as a community, we're thankful that we have this opportunity to be in the free land and enjoy the benefits of community. As we discuss matters and budgets today, help us to be guided in the best things that we can do for the city and for the residents here in front of you. We're thankful for all we have. We're thankful for the first responders, and as to be with them, and they'll be safe, protected, and be able to be respected of the citizens' name of Jesus Christ.
Thank you, Sue. Item 1B is declaration of conflicts of interest to the community. And are there any conflicts to be declared? No. Seeing none, we'll move to 1C, public comments and questions to the mayor and council. Anybody wish to address the mayor and council? Thank you for the opportunity, Mark.
There is.
Oh, there is.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you. I was going to take the opportunity since we're voting to thank you for being here. It's nice to actually be talking to somebody this possible. So great to have you here. I know you're not here for a wonderful city council meeting as much as I am too. So we'll move on to item 2. Founders Day honorees. Introduction and presentation of the 2024 Founders Day honorees. Start with the bike parade leader. I'll turn it over to our chairman on this for Founders Day in this area.
Sure. Appreciate this opportunity. This is kind of a special opportunity for me, and you can feel the excitement in the air with Founders Day less than a week. Well, Founders Week less than a week away. So this is a great time, and we have some really neat opportunities to recognize some of the citizens of our city. This is always a fun time. We get to talk about those who we could recognize, and it's neat to see there are so many in our city that contribute and a great community we live in. And kind of a special thing for me is getting a chance to go into the homes of those that we recognize. It's a really special experience for me. To go meet them and see their excitement and their enthusiasm for the honor that they're getting. We'd like to start off with today the bike parade leader. The city's chosen Alec Rummelsbacher to do that, and he's a special young man. We've taken the opportunity to recognize some youth over the last. Well, we started the bike parade 4 years ago, and it's our third year, right? Third year. And we've taken the opportunity to recognize some of the youth in our city, and it's been really special. And Alec is right in line with that. So I'd like to recognize him. I'll read the statement and just maybe share a couple comments with but in the newsletter that went out, it says, "Hello, fellow youth friends. I'm Alec Rummelsbacher. I'm 20 years old and I have autism. My mom calls autism awesomeism because she thinks I'm awesome. I'm the oldest and have 3 great sisters. I graduated from Weaver High School in 2022, and I'm currently enrolled at the Canyon View School. My mom says my hobby is people. I love making new friends and going on dates with them. And we'll get to do that in the parade, Alex, so that's fun. I also love watching Disney movies. I'm such a Disney fan of Disney. My parents are taking their family on Disney cruise this summer. I'm excited to see the bike parade. This is a neat thing. Alec has a lot of support. He has a great family. He is the son of Brigham and Daisy Millis Blocker, and he's got 3 sisters and a great family. And I think a lot of that has to do with Alec, and I'm sure that's a great contributor in the family. So we'd like to recognize him as the bike parade leader. And they chose leader. We've had bike parade princess and captain and chief, and they chose leader, which is great for Alec. And I think he enjoys that. So we'd like to recognize him and congratulate him for this honor. So Alec, you want to come up? We have a few things for you and your family. So yeah, let's go down to the bottom. That's okay. Well, we'll come to you. Bring it up to you. So we've got a certificate for you. I'll let you. We don't want to hold that and stuff. Maybe you can just hang on your wall or do something like that. For the parade, though, we get you a nice T-shirt here. I'm the parade leader.
And yellow is your favorite.
You, Sarah.
Thanks. And this is a sash you can wear along with us if you like. And I know you're going to be riding the vehicles. That's a good. And we take some founders today for some Santa Fe tickets. So we got little Santa Fe tickets and also a hot dog plate. Know which one you like the most.
He likes the hot dog.
Okay, well, on the way. We're all here. Picture.
Alex, let's go get a picture.
Al, do you want to stand? Do you want to sit?
Yeah. I'll pass it.
And I can speak on anything phone, so. Yeah, anything.
Grandma, you have to be here.
Now, everybody.
There you go. We got it right there.
We got everybody.
Yeah. You don't need to be a picture. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You speak common sense to me. I cried.
So Alec will have you start the parade. You'll be at the roundabout right just before 9:30, and we'll have you in the parade. That's gonna be a really special thing. Is there any comments? You're welcome to share it if you like. There's a microphone here if you want to. I think it's on.
It's that no.
You can hold it if you want. No.
Beauty.
Thank you for this opportunity for our family. I think bike parade leader is a really great thing for Alec because he really is a leader, a quiet one, but he is, but he has profound influence everywhere he goes. He loves and he accepts and he is someone who brings people together, which I think our community needs. So thanks for recognizing that. And anyway.
It's amazing that we live in a place where, Fort Plain City is just like. If we could just, if you could feel the gratitude that we get, it's special. We appreciate what you do. to be in the limelight in public service means that everybody judges you. I hope that you sense how we judge you with a huge degree of thanks. The only people I think that know them are the police back there. And they have been so kind and don't judge us for the many 911 calls that they've received. So thank you. But we appreciate it and we live.
Yeah, we love Pleasant View, because I think about being a child and a teen that grew up here, I never thought that all these years later, my kiddo would be the bike parade leader. So I'm really excited. Thank you.
All right, next on to the next one. So we've chosen for the Founder's Day Grand Marshals this year, Larry and Marie Wadman. And I didn't know Larry and Marie personally. I got to know them really quickly. I recognize them, and I know they've been involved in our city. It was really a special experience for me to be in their home. You can feel the excitement of their love for Pleasant View, and they've contributed a lot over the years, both in their families and extended families for some generations in Pleasant View. So I'll go ahead and read this, and then I'm sure there'll be some more comments here as well. Larry and Marie Ellis Wadman have been residents of Pleasant View for more than 65 years. The Ellis family were among the early settlers in Pleasant View, tracking back to 1860. They possessed 160 acres of land cultivating cherries, peaches, and apples. The Wadmans relocated to Pleasant View in 1959, where Larry cherished his youth exploring the Fenelon Hills. Both Larry and Marie attended Weaver High School and established their family in Majestic Heights. They have 3 daughters and 7 grandchildren. Larry's upbringing involved working in construction alongside his father, Jason Wadman. After returning from his mission in Denmark, he founded his own construction company. And Marie contributed to her family's cherry orchards on 500 West, which is straight across the street here. And later earned a teaching degree from Weaver State. She dedicated 38 years to teaching first grade. That's an accomplishment. Both Larry and Marie have held various church leadership roles. They have found fulfilling. They actively participate in the Pleasant View community and are engaged in their church. They were involved in the Pleasant View Beautification Committee. They helped organize the first Founder's Day Parade event with Betty Tucker and have consistently supported the parade and fireworks. Together, they led fundraising efforts for Roland View Elementary Library and the J. Reese Gym. The Wadman family has deep affection for Pleasant View and contributed funds and land for the Wadman Leisure Park and Moncton Fire Station and the Pleasant View City offices. They've been involved in numerous community service projects. Larry is currently serving on the Board of Adjustments, which we appreciate, and has been doing so for 15 years, while also being a member of the Pleasant View Heritage Committee. Marie enjoys delving into family history, and the years of Pleasant View have been filled with joy, and they cherish the time and love within this lovely city. We appreciate them. We're so excited for them to have this honor. There's some family members that had this in the past, and we think this is definitely fitting for them as well. And I'd like to congratulate them and welcome them to be in the parade as their Grand Marshals. Congratulations, no yellow shirt, I'm sorry. There's a sash for both of you. You can wear that.
We have some.
Examiner tickets, and these are the whole sash on.
Sparkly ones are from Marie. They show my head.
It's for. We'll put them all back in here, so you have that.
Thank you.
I don't know if you know, but this year, the Heritage Foundation decided to have a working carry for Grand Marshals. I'm going to do that. And so we'll get to do that, and we'll be the first ever, we've had a kid, so that's.
Yeah, that's, Larry's parents rode on the back of the trailer, so this is their.
Let's get a picture of the. The family members on
One vehicle, right? Yeah.
Might have to see the old guy.
I think so.
I think I can see everybody. Everyone with me, 1, 2, 3. Oh, there's a little guy in front holding up the quarter. Can you just? Sorry. Okay, very cute. Though. 1, 2, 3. I did get a just out. They did hide a little bit, but oh, thank you. Perfect. Oh, now there's a frown instead of a quarter.
Would you like to have a few moments?
Yeah, one thing I wanted, this is from back of my memories, but I was telling the mayor that the first parade we had lasted 20 minutes. And then that goes to over about 20 minutes, and it was the best candy ever. They made more candy in 20 minutes than in any 2-hour parade. But my favorite entry of that parade was Betty and Ken Tucker. They had a lawn mowing business, and they pushed lawnmowers in that parade. So that was kind of a fun.
We just want to thank everyone for this honor. We feel really humbled by this nomination. And we look forward to the parade, and we thank you for all that you do for Pleasant View. It's a wonderful place to live. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, it seems like I've known Marie and Larry all my life. It's probably not exactly true, but most I remember working for the Ellises. Started when I was 4 years old. And charities kind of right here where we're at. 7 cents for a bucket of white cherries, and 1 cent for a bucket of sweet cherries. And
Put the stamp on.
the stems off. That's why you got 21
It's only
cents.
moved to $1 when I was.
And then I just had the pleasure of knowing the Wadden family for, again, most of my life. My mom and dad used to take us up there to Larry's parents' house, and they would play cards, and we just hang out with the rest of the kids. So it just seems like I've known these families for forever. And appreciate all they've done for you and all. I'm sure they'll continue. Great people. Anything else?
You said it.
All right, we'll move on to, I'm sure why everybody else is here, so they public hearing to consider vacating municipal easement. Oh, well, you can go if you want, yeah, I'm just, like I said, I'm sure we're all here for this. No, yeah, feel free to stay, feel free to go out and visit, and go get an ice cream or whatever you do as a kind of, I can give you just a minute so you can. That's a family plan.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we'll probably, just for the Zoom benefit, want to do the screen share. Sorry.
You just want to make sure Larry already cut to the front of the line with the salmon place. Seriously. Yeah.
First, but that's what the first.
We're expecting over probably 1,800. All right, to consider vacating the utility easement along lot 7, storm drain easement area to the south of lot 7 on Peak View Plaza PDD subdivision plat located at approximately 2650 north, 400 west. Brandon Bell.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a procedural note, you'll want to open and close the public hearing after the comments. So you don't look at that. And then, and to receive any public comment on the item. There's an existing subdivision plat. You're probably all familiar with the BP subdivision. We've had a number of building permits issued and restaurants that are going into this area. They're continuing to develop the site, and as part of that, they're making some adjustments to their property lines. That was the main set of changes were considered in a subdivision amendment plat a few weeks ago at a planning commission meeting, and that plat amendment was approved. But there's one item related to that plat that is under the guise and jurisdiction of the city council, not the planning commission, which is this issue of a municipal utility easement release. A municipal utility easement is the same essentially as a public utility easement, but specifically for utilities that are owned or operated by the city itself. Legally, that puts it in a different category or situation in the city where the city council has to be the authority that ends up releasing them under your authority and permission. And that's just to make sure that the public interest is looked out for in those decisions. If the subdivision amendment plat that's been approved is to be reported, this easement will likely needs to be essentially released because there's a portion of the easement that will be near or under the applicant's proposed building, I should say, building. They're proposing for what is now lot 7 and the adjusted version of which should become lot 8. It should be noted that the council is under no obligation to release this easement. State code, again, is the applicable code on this matter. It states that the council should determine if there's good cause that exists for the release of the easement. And also that public interest or any person will be determined whether any person or the public interest will be materially injured by the proposed vacation. If you decide to release the easement, you as a council may adopt an ordinance granting a petition to vacate some or all of that easement. And staff has prepared a version of the ordinance should you choose to do so. And then the main task of the council in this discussion is to determine if there's a need for it to remain. The only staff's reviewed this pretty thoroughly. The only issue really that staff sees that needs to be really addressed is I've spoken with our public works director, and there's a water utility meter in this area on the north side of the plat. And so staff recommendation is that I'll show you the areas that need to be vacated are basically the perimeter on these 3 sides, and then this area, the square area as well, and then this the easement will actually be corrected and brought further out this way. You can see there's sort of a Z-shaped line here, and then there's a straight line there. This darker straight line is the new proposed boundary line on the plat. And so we're pulling away this section for the easement and then adding some here where the property line is more to the north. This parcel A on the amended plat is it's a stormwater detention basin. So that's the purpose for the municipal utility in this area, just to accommodate that. There's a couple of updates from the version of the plat that, the staff report. The staff has no concerns with the vacation of the easement. It's not being used for municipal utilities mainly, except for that water meter. But because there are a few property line adjustments, the way the ordinance has been drafted, and we reviewed this with legal counsel, is that we're recommending that it's okay to release the easement with the final extents of this vacation of the easement and any corrections or additions to on these two parcels to be determined by city staff as needed to protect the city water meter or other city interests. And as reflected on the final version of the plat amendment, prepared by the applicant in coordination with the city staff. So what you're seeing here is a draft version of the ordinance. One of the ways, or sorry, of the subdivision plat amendment. There's a couple ways to put this into effect. The vacation, and the most convenient way in this situation is just to record this plat without having to know, but staff needs your authorization to do that. So staff has no concerns with the vacation of easement. Try to draft the language so that we feel like it accomplishes the purpose, but then allows essentially our public works director to spell out an area in this area to remain in force or expand a little bit for the water utility meter that will stay in place and make those adjustments down there. So that's a slight adjustment from the recommended conditions of approval, but it's what's reflected in the final version of the ordinance that staff has prepared. So are there any questions that the council has for myself?
Mayor,
Yes,
I make a motion before we ask any questions.
okay, I'll second the motion. Motion by Gibbs and second by Mary to come to the public hearing. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Then the public hearing. Give audience a chance to speak first, if that's okay. Anybody? Yeah. Anybody from the public wish to address? Don't sign, we got plenty.
Mayor,
Seeing none.
make a motion to go to public hearing.
Motion by Gibbs and second by Yuri. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, back to the council, questions, Steve?
So, Dr. Brandon, these are just arbitrarily put in when the subdivision was made as kind of placeholder, is that kind of what I'm seeing there for the easement? Because those are pretty standard in every subdivision, correct? Is that?
Public utility easements are, not to be too technical, but municipal utility easements are not typically that common. The reason, I don't know exactly why they were put in this one. There are no known municipal utilities that are specifically owned by the city in those, with the exception of the water meter and the line to it. And for whatever reason, when this was drafted, the language that was used on it was PUD and MUE. And so when that language was used, I don't believe it was fully understood by the person preparing the plat that requires an extra step if you ever have to change it. So as much as, we all love to deal with super technical stuff that's paperwork, we have to go through that process to get it released, but staff didn't need to necessarily meet it in the first place.
Yes.
So water line, because that's going to be a road to go through, correct?
Yes, and it's
already there, so that will be there. Water line and water meter are they stubbed in, are they there now for that piece of property, or is that future water meter? Is that water meter there?
So there's stuff in the sites that all happened. Right.
Because if it's not there, I mean, the property owner will need a water connection, so I just want to, and you address that, I'm pretty sure that easement will still be there, or.
So do we want to keep the whole north easement or just a part? What are you recommending?
We're recommending vacation of almost all of this,
Yeah.
and just leaving a small portion in place.
We said where the meter will eventually go, where it is now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's why the ordinance was crafted to leave some flexibility for staff to give the final say of what's left in place.
I just don't want to give away the farm if we're going to need
Right.
something going forward. And that doesn't affect the stormwater basin, the collection.
No, it's so this
The part of A would still have an easement or something for the stormwater.
It's actually, they're
Yes.
reworking that. It's not very functional yet.
yeah,
So,
correct. That will stay in place, and that's another reason why we asked for the flexibility for that issue to be delegated to staff, and so that final boundary can be worked out.
So it's not like that yet.
yeah, trying to get a good functioning base.
So I just thought I'd make.
Yeah, I'm unclear why we need to vacate it though, because there's no buildings or plan to be over top of those easements, right?
There was one, this one is going near pretty close, like we might actually touch the Burr Brothers is actually gonna go right here,
So
so.
I understand that, but, and I understand the parcel change. Parcel A here, but even.
Yeah,
The other,
in order to fit the size building, you want to set that. Yeah.
so there's, even though it's there.
Is it just the north easement? What I've seen here, this looks like the north easement, is what you need to make it. Right?
Well, staff doesn't really see much need for any of this three sides of the perimeter. So,
But it's not.
we
needed.
don't want to run municipal utilities, you don't want your super, there's no anticipated need to run a main back there. You would want your services short and direct. They do that, but we've talked about trying to deal with those even on the subdivision level, because your PUDs. There's an old practice of surrounding subdivisions with it.
So
That's something he's talking about, so it doesn't.
That's what I was saying, you know, this is put in there as a placeholder, it sounds.
Yeah.
And that's, I think that's.
Standard.
So,
Okay. Any further questions? If not, then entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we vacate the municipal utilities no along lot 7. In Plaza. We can subdivision.
Ordinance number 2024-14.
Mayor, I'll second that with the change of, with the adjustments that Brent has brought up.
Okay.
For the north beach of the water and the south of the beach.
Okay.
So I make that amendment.
You okay with that? I'm good with it. Okay. Any further discussion? None, okay, roll call vote, Harrington.
Yes.
Gibson.
Yes.
Marriott. Yes. Nelson. Yes. Fury.
Yes.
Motion carries. Yes. Jim. All right, item 4, bid for public new parking, pickleball project. Pickleball
Sorry.
project for
This one out.
consideration to award project bid for expanding parking at the park and this pickleball courts in the amount of $550,350.06.
Make
Councilmember Lead off.
You want to lead or do you want me to? Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brad.
So, Amy and I, just decided to put together a little bit of a timeline so you can see what this project has been, who's been mentioning, kind of, months along the way, but we just kind of wanted to paint a picture of where we've been, so you can kind of see that, so. So we started in 2020, we had some community feedback quite a bit that people want to play pickleball, and we don't have sports. So we kept hearing, one more court, right? And so we started looking at locations that we could do courts. Initially, we were trying to the east of where they are, but that land was too expensive to buy, and so we decided that we would.
Sorry, 2 seconds. We weren't screen sharing for the Zoom audience or not the YouTube, sorry.
So the council, we got together and decided that we'd be okay if we went west instead, right? And took over that spot, that old softball diamond, and we knew that we'd be disrupting some of the other recreation pieces, but like pickleball was strong enough sport, upcoming sport that would be warranted for Pleasant View. So in 2021, we had a committee formed in the city, and we also formed the Pleasant View Pickleball Association nonprofit. And fundraising began. So Sarah, Amy, and I took a field trip out to Farmington to look at their pickleball courts, what they had accomplished there, what the layouts were, just kind of started like putting ideas together. And then, obviously November of that year, we had a joint agreement with the city and the Pleasant View Pickleball Association to go forward with the project. So cited approval by the city council and the city, so that they would put in some funding of $35,000 for engineering. So we were off and going. So in 2022, we applied for a RAMP grant and were awarded $315,000. And we had our first annual Founders Day tournament, which was part of our fundraising project. Fundraising continued. I just want to compliment and thank the PBPA for all of their fundraising and the generous donors in our community. Both families and businesses, they really rallied behind the project. And again, it just goes to show you how many people are just interested in playing the sport and bringing their families and the community together. So
We had an issue that year because the cost of concrete just skyrocketed and we didn't feel like we could stay within the 315 budget. So we kind of backed away and decided we would approach ramp and ask for a larger amount of money so we could cover the project. So that's what happened in 2023. We've deferred our application and submitted for 477.7 and was awarded that by the ramp committee. So we had our second annual Founders Day tournament. We're on our third this year. It's going so well, so much fun. And fundraising continued by both PVPA and the city. So in 2023, continuing, we removed the backstop. The public works did that for us, and that softball diamond. And then we had our groundbreaking on September 16th. So we opened an initial bid for the courts with an option to do that soil stabilization that went down into that retention pond. And that was just like, if we want to add this to the project, we can, but we didn't have to accept that part of the project with the bid opening. We decided because of the cost of that we would step away with that, from that, and reconfigure the course so we only had like one line of parking, so we didn't have to go down into that configuration. Bid was awarded to EK Bailey, but then Bailey came to us and said, you know, if you're going to do parking, which we didn't have parking in that bid, you really need to do it now because we need to stage all the trucks and everything in that spot where the courts are going to go. And so you want to do parking first before you do the courts. So we feverishly applied for another ramp grant. We got some funding also from the city council to go towards that project. And so we were awarded $197,000 from ramp, and the council matched that to $200,000 so that we could do that parking project for Pleasant View Park. It's not only for the pickleball courts, it's for the whole, for the whole entire park and things that are going on there, like moving the park and the Easter egg hunt and those kind of things. So, we had engineering done for that entire parking portion. And it also included, while we were excavating for parking, we decided to put out a bid to do excavating for the courts as well at the same time. It only made sense to do that. So, we did our bid opening for parking and stabilization on May 20th. And we're here tonight to do council consideration of EK Bailey awarding them that bid for the parking portion of the project, as well as excavation of the courts. So we wanted to make sure before we open these grants that our funding is correct and if we're ready to go, that we can finish the project to completion and not have like a half-baked project. So we pulled up some budgetary numbers just so you can kind of see. The Pleasant View City has donated land for the courts and for the parking, about $200,000. The ramp also has contributed a major amount for us for the courts and parking. PVPA has been a huge contributor for donations, and we're really put their hearts out for that. And then we have some in-kind donations as well. So that kind of just shows you how all the funding has come about for the full project of $1.3 million. So the parking lot portion, the project funds raised is $397,000, and the total cost will be $395,000. So the parking is completely covered by ramp grant, by the city donating some money towards that project. The 9 pickleball courts, we have a balance of $615,000, and really our costs are unknown on what that is going to cost to build the courts. When I say unknown, I got another slide to kind of show it off to you, but we did get an engineer's estimate back from our engineer that said that just the courts, lighting, and fencing would be $1.3 million. And that the excavation of the court would be $127,000. To me, that seemed extremely high and didn't seem like that was even in the ballpark of where they should be. And so I didn't want the project to be squelched just because we got a high engineer's estimate. So we decided to go out and ask some other cities and also get some budgetary quotes from some other communities. And so I need to advance there. So here's the engineer's estimate. We took what it was an average per court, like how much is going to cost you in one court, right? Some communities did 4 courts and some did 8. So for us, we just divided by court. So engineer's estimate shows that it's gonna cost about $167,000 per court times 9 would be the 1.5. So we have a funding gap based on an estimate that an engineer has given us. Washington Terrace built their courts 2 years ago, And they did 4 courts with lighting and nets. And their total for their project was $309,000. So if you break that out by 4 courts, that's $77,000 per court. We times it by 9. If we went by those numbers, our comparable would be 696. We're still short by $80,000. As you look like McCall, Idaho, Washington Terrace, again, their project is 2 years old. So I wonder if that could be some concrete things, because when I look at McCall, West Haven, Roy, and North Ogden, all those courts have been completed fairly recently. McCall just finished theirs like last
All this year.
all this year. So McCall built 9 courts with parking, so parking is included in this number. They don't have lighting, but they did run conduit. And their project total, actually, it's not even quite 600, it's 553. And so per court cost was $61,400. So, based on that, West Haven, 45,000 a court, Roy, 64,000 a court, North Ogden, 62,000 a court. What I'm saying here is that I think, I've reached out to some pickleball contractors. They said if you plan between 45 and 65 a court, you're covered. That's what you do. Depending on if you do lighting, if you do whatever, right? So 65 is kind of on the higher end. So if we take that number of 65,000 per court and times that by 9 courts, then we come up within the funding, we're within our guidelines. If we go 65,000 times that by 9 courts, we're at 585 is what we're looking at if we're kind of on the higher side.
Can I throw something in really
Please
quick?
do, sorry.
Nolan? And there is an important note right here, just that all the projects have different elements included. It's not really a full apples to apples, but it gives an idea of what court construction is. One of the things with our project specifically, because of the location, we are going to require a retention wall and a stairs or concrete stairs with the design. So that probably will bump the cost up a little bit, just to.
Not.
Right, well, and so if we're at 585, based on a high number of 65,000 per court, we still have some wiggle room if our budget is, what's our budget, 6, go back one slide. 615.
That's our remaining cash balance.
And that's just their cash balance. We have some in-kind donations, we have some concrete that's been donated to cost, that doesn't reflect any of that.
Is that included in the grant?
Yes, that's cash from grant money as well.
So
That's the cash we have that we can spend on the courts, real money.
Just for consideration and just consideration, the grant portion of that, if we wrote a grant application with the anticipation of the costing X amount of dollars, and we're awarded that amount, and it's considerably less, there might be some audit issues with having to get the money back, because they won't fund over 50%, just for clarification.
Well, I appreciate that, and I think that what comes into play on that, answer to that, is that we haven't considered anything in kind donation. Sure, if we take it up.
But just to remember that portion of that.
Yeah, and that's a good point to bring up, but I think we're still safe there, because we haven't considered anything in kind, we just want to deal with like action.
And And just one thing to note too, and part of why we have this, I guess, slated tonight, and part of the challenge, and you've noticed this kind of in the presentation, is we've got a little bit of a moving target. And so I think there was the idea of the project, but you really don't know what the project cost is until you go out to bid. And I think the engineers do the very best they can with what they have with estimations, but then also sometimes try to estimate a little bit higher to make sure they don't miss anything in doing their job. But I don't know whether the estimation's high or not. I really can't quote that until, you know, an actual bid comes into play. But the point being before you this evening, and this budget slide kind of helps break it down, is it includes multiple components of the project. So there's the parking lot expansion project, which is slated a little bit separately in that has the stabilization and also the installation of the parking stalls. The court area excavation is, and this is based on the initial bid price that we got, but about $128,000. And so that portion is included down in this lower portion and would need to utilize those other funds. So technically we can pay for the parking in full with the ramp grant and the city funds. With the courts, if we start dipping into either the ramp or the PVPA funds, I think there's a project commitment happening there. Because I mean, you're utilizing these funds that were put toward, I mean, especially with ramp, and with ramp, we've got to make sure we complete everything we committed to in the application.
There.
What's this now? You know what to do with this?
Yeah, I think that, I guess, for me, my request is that we go out of RFP and we find out like what it's really gonna cost. And in the RFP, we say we're gonna take we can take all, any or none, of the project. And so that we're not, we just need to know what's the bottom line would be. But I feel like we're in a good position to move forward with what we got, so.
First building.
I was just gonna say the same thing, but if in the RFP, let's say RFP comes back and we're above, are we willing to do in the plans 8 courts? 7.5 courts and have like the picture sitting area? for the other half?
Problematic with your rec funding because you.
Because you specified the plan and we can't deviate from the plan at
You
all
have
to
to
do
give
that.
back the money.
We committed to 9 courts with fencing and lighting. I mean, that's,
I will say to that point, Phil, though, too, we could back off a little bit like on lighting. We said we do lighting, but we didn't necessarily say we have to do lighting on every court, like we didn't specify that.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, how much variance is.
So I think we could, and I just don't think we can make those decisions until we know what we got.
Yeah.
and I think we'll need to verify with ramp whatever, if there is any type of scale back, just to make sure that.
Yeah, like they do audits, and so if you have an X amount, just playing that person, because I was at a rec meeting today. You submitted for the cost breakdown, say $200,000 for lighting or whatever, and you only put in 1 light. Or whatever, because you run short other places. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You have to justify, why did only this amount of lights cost this amount of money, what did you do with the rest if you didn't use it for light? So, just to be all kosher.
Right.
Oh, there is a culture. Yes, we got, and I would like to do this simultaneously,
Yeah.
and let's go out with it and meet it with ramp people at the same time, not wait till we get the bid back. What if this, we can go in there and what if and get their advice and what if needed without waiting. So, and also some value added engineering. So if they want to do their own engineer proposal as part of the bid, that they feel that would work for that area.
Right. So I did talk to the law contractor, and they said that they do them all the time. And so as far as engineering goes, like they already know the soil mixture they need to use. They already know the servicing. And so they said as far as engineering goes, they've even gone back to engineers and said, you really don't want this soil to be called, and this is why, we know it, Or like we had a city that came back and said, we want to do a compact test, and they said, we can, but it's gonna be fine, because we've done this a million times. And they said, it has to be a 90, and it came back at a 97. Like they've done them a million times.
And you can put that in your bid, that's saying you can bring in your own engineer.
Well, you're saying that we bring in our own engineer?
No, like the people who bid, if they have the value engineering, like you mentioned.
They've already pre-engineered all, they've done.
Right,
so
but they could bring it in instead of using the city engineer to have to do that. So,
Yeah,
that could be part of the portion of
So-
the.
What are we exactly asking tonight is,
so we're asking to award the bid the bid to EK Bailey for parking and excavation.
Mayor? That's exactly what so we've already awarded the Bailey, the first phase.
So we awarded the first phase a long time ago, but that's since expired. So that's no longer on the
So
table.
we do that, but all we're doing is putting a slab out there of dirt. And I don't know why we have to have steps. I mean, that's pretty flat. Let's get it down to a level. There might be something that goes off the road or something down, but we grade it. And these guys, and I appreciate what you just said. I appreciate the work you've done into kind of putting this all out there, especially for the public. But these guys have done this over and over and over again, and if we let our engineers get in the way, then we're making a huge mistake. Because this is a nice, again, they have warranties and things for that. That concrete is.
It's post tension, it's
It's
everything. we're
tension.
asking.
That's all we're doing. We're putting out a slab of concrete, putting up some fence and stuff. They do it all the time. Why are we getting ourselves in the way? It drives me nuts. I would allow you to make the motion because this is your project, but Bailey's gonna treat us right. I have every confidence that he's done this himself. And put that get that started. Get the bid out for the 9 courts, get with those companies that are doing it. Have them, I mean, they have to have the engineering for there, but they've done it all the time. It's nothing, we're not reinventing something. We're not putting a
Right.
building up there. We're not doing anything. And have Bailey, have that excavated to an area that's just a nice flat area that we can, have the stuff, if we have the detention basin there, flow off. I don't know, I can't imagine, it's always been too much. And, 1.3 million is so frustrating. That aggravates me to no end. And just let this work. And so I would, I'm not gonna make a motion to do that again. I want this to be this year maybe, but it's just, we gotta be done, and this has to be done this year. And just do it. We have the money, we have the ramp, we can give the ramp back. They've been very kind to us,
Yes.
and it'll be a nice facility for the city.
So just one really quick note on, so with the parking, obviously there's the 2 different grants at play here. And because we don't know what we don't know, and we don't know what the bid's gonna come back for the courts, I don't know if there would be, if the council's agreeable to looking at not proceeding with the grading for the courts and dipping into the ramp or the PVPA funds until we get that other bid back. We have about 30 days left to respond to Brent on that top bid on the parking lot expansion and the grading for the courts.
How long are we gonna, what do we give them for, people you contacted for the, to actually put it, we have 2 weeks to put that out for your RFP?
So it's typically a 3 to 4 week process.
For what, I mean, so are you saying we're gonna have a spec that we're gonna have to put it out and have them bid on that, or we're just gonna say we want 9 courts, give us your best shot?
This would probably be an amount for the grading, because if we don't have enough money within.
We don't know if we have enough money yet.
Possibly from the second.
Talking about one.
Bought it in the second.
Mhm.
You are
Yep.
committed, but you're not.
So if we dip it into the grading, we are committed.
Well, the only way it's gonna be.
Or we're gambling with that money.
We're gonna be gambling
We
is
have
if,
to
it
pay it
comes
back.
out between 45 and 65.
But we just don't want to know sports park, and so just, if you buy a little bit of time to see what it costs, then you can approve it after that. Just a little bit.
Why do I don't know why we have to wait 3 or 4 weeks.
So the reality is we have the parking lot project funded. We do not have funding for the 128 for the court excavation. So if we want to move forward with that, we're gonna have to either dip into ramp funds, PVPA funds, or the city's gonna have to appropriate some money for that. We don't have funds for that portion.
I mean, I guess, based on these numbers that we're collecting that are real time, that are in other communities, I guess I don't have a ton of heartburn breaking into the ramp grant, the second ramp grant now, because I really feel like our project can fall within the line.
You got data.
Yeah, you've got some real numbers, and that's the only thing that would mess us up is if those numbers come back wrong.
Except, I mean, I agree with what Anna's saying, but it's not apples to apples, exactly. You would agree.
Well, it is, it's a flat piece of.
I don't think everything,
Put it out.
It's flat.
No,
So, like Sarah, we have a big retention basin right behind it, that we have to stabilize and build up the retention wall.
That's what 300.
It's not the same. I'm just worried we're gonna end up with an all sport park, like for reals.
I think that like,
Millions of dollars.
for instance, like McCall had 9 courts plus parking.
Do they have a big retention basin behind?
But
the
that's
court?
separate.
The parking is, McCall did parking and 9 courts for 553. Parking and 9 courts.
Is the topography the exact same? Is everything?
No, but I just think that like, if our parking's costing us $400,000, we're not gonna be off by that amount. I feel pretty strong.
How close are we to the retention basin? 10 feet, 5 feet, right on that court?
Parking's in.
So we have to back the.
I
That's
thought
what
we
we
said,
heard.
I thought we said not to do that.
No,
Lines.
but there's lines.
Got it.
We're not going as deep.
But are we still gonna backfill into the retention
have to.
basin? I thought we stopped that.
Not with 9 courts in the side, we have to use the court.
That's what dramatically.
That's stuff out of baseball.
The bad things you.
Parking lot.
Yeah, but I thought we talked about not.
Or you get rid of the.
We need an RFP, like as fast as
Yeah,
possible, so that's the thing.
That's what I would wait
So
for.
it sounds like we can't have our cake and eat it, right? We can't do the RFP and hold off on this decision with Bailey because we got.
Well, and one thought, and I guess possibly an option, we need to talk with Bailey, the group that's recommended for funding awardal because of the pricing, but one, I mean, we could ask them if they could just hold off on the core excavation portion until we get our other bid completed. I don't know if they'd be willing to do that, but that's,
Are we in trouble if it comes back and not with the right numbers and say it'll never mind?
well, we'd still have the additional parking for the park, but I guess I'm pretty hesitant to jump in on expending money until we have a real value, but it's your decision.
Okay, I mean, I don't know, we can say speculate costs, or we can get an RFP, so I don't know.
I'm fine with an RFP, absolutely, I do agree with that as well, and let's see what it costs.
And the risk of doing that is that Bailey decides not, elects not to extend his commitment to us.
30 days.
We have 30 more days
we
on
ask
the
him for-
initial, and we can ask for extensions possibly.
Do that.
The cost of materials can change, but we could make a request for that, and we could maybe time it based on the timing of the RFP process. That's an option.
Let's do that.
So,
How many parking slots are we gaining by not this? We're just gonna do one wall and it's still gonna be into the.
both sides.
Is it 30? Is it 30 parking stalls that we're getting?
I wanna say there's.
30? That we're getting?
Still, I thought we talked about not going into the.
There was just.
Yeah, that's some of the south side and then there'll be some that go in between the two ports, like right on the.
Yeah.
In between.
Well, we basically have the grant, we got the money to do the plan. It's the pickleball.
So
It's
it's
not
not
necessarily, we don't know,
Yeah.
we don't think it is a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
One comment. Take ball. Into the microphone.
So-
Thank you.
Just something to consider. I'm not saying that this is a solution. Make the motion to award contract to EK Bailey for the excavation, reconfiguration of the pond, parking and pad prep. So that would be the 5/23. As soon as he signs that contract with the city to do that work, request a change order from EK Bailey to provide the platform, the nets, the lights and so forth to be added to his contract for change order.
I don't think you can.
No, that wasn't in the initial scope of the bid.
I like the way you're keeping that.
Yeah.
Very strict purchasing policies
Okay.
through the state.
It skips a bid opening process for other people, but yeah,
So I guess, is everybody comfortable if I make a motion that we award this to Bailey and then a request from him that he holds on for excavation until we get our RFPs back? You guys comfortable with that?
I would see that.
as long as it's all, if we
But
can do
you-
that, sure.
If, at what point do we say no to them?
Well, we're giving you, he can always reject.
So yeah, what does request from him, is we award it to him subject to the contingency, do you not start until RFPs, or is it awarded to him and ask him kindly not?
Until we have an approved, an RFP that's below our budget.
I'm just wondering what, I
Well,
don't think he's gonna.
I don't think that you can do that either, because RFPs are all about, you can't, unless you set an amount of what you're looking for, you can't just wait and, oh, you win, or whatever.
We're not asking EKA to come forward. But
No.
it's lower than that, but we say in his contract saying we can't do this unless we get,
Or-
RFP below that.
We could do,
If we could request that he hold on the core excavation and ask, and then we could, if we could do a change order, if we had to, and just say, if the RFPs come back and we can't do it, and do a change order, they don't do the core excavation at the time. I mean, I don't know.
Who knows? Or somebody would, what's people go.
so as long as it was advertised in the initial bid and there's a change order to reduce or modify the scope based on what's included in that, I don't think there's an issue. If you're adding new components and scopes, that's where you'd need to go out for
Well, why don't we just make the motion before the bid? And having out that we would hold off on the court excavation until we get the bids back and approve and move forward. And we'll meet with him if he doesn't want that's a no-go. then
we can do a change order to remove the court excavation.
Yes.
That-
I
that-
feel, yeah,
I think
that would be.
I think it'll-
I think it'll work with this, and I really feel confident that our RFP is gonna come in by budget. I really-
But we're just crossing our T's and dotting our I's.
And like what you're saying, what happens if we do get a bid, all of our bids are above that? Then we have to scrap the whole thing, right? We have to go back and rescind that contract.
Which that could be a
No,
provision.
no, not-
Parking lot's good. Parking lot's good.
Because we've got full funding.
I don't know, I don't always feel comfortable spending $400,000 on a parking lot when we're without pickleball.
We need parking, that's how
It's not, it's a waste of money, it's not what we do there.
So when we wrote the grant, had nothing to do with pickleball, it had everything to do with the whole complex of the park, and so it wasn't just for that.
I don't want my
I'm
money.
not sure that it's scrap the whole thing. I think what we would do is go back ramp with either a scale down project for more money or something. I don't think the answer is to throw the project. If it comes in too high, then I think we go back and ask for either amendment or whatever. And we'll meet with those people, like I said, I want to do that simultaneous with going out to bid. I don't want to go out to bid and say, oh, let's do that, now let's put together.
And
Let's do it simultaneous.
this is not unique to our city. People do, meet with Brad several times with applications every year to adjust the same application over and over again until they get what they need. and what they
So I don't think we're gonna
It's
scrap
not-
it.
it's-
I don't think it's a matter of scrapping it. It might be scrapping that layout.
Sure.
You know, scale down, whatever we can. Based on cost of that. I am very confident it's gonna.
Well, and one of the hardest things with this project, and I guess one of the most complimentary things of this project is we have had so many people come forward with in-kind donations. And I think that's really just hard to build into a budget for project completion. And so that's really where it's just been a challenge.
Yeah.
And a good challenge, but a
As
challenge.
we've been said today, this came up in the meeting and, you know, end of your meeting, they really, really love our applications. They love this project. We wrote really good grant applications with support from the community, support from private donations, and they really love it. We did it exactly how it's supposed to be. So if we go back and have to make adjustments 10, 12 times, it does not matter. It will be good.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we award the bid, for the expanded parking at Liberty Park and excavation and grading. For the amount of $522,331.06. With the caveat that we're going to talk to Bailey about holding on the port excavation until we can get some solid numbers from the RFP or non-RFP.
I'll second that.
I'm still don't know what talk to him means. It means we're awarding it contingent to his acceptance of holding on.
Contingent or change order, right?
Okay, all right.
Yes, I'm okay with that.
Clarification, I guess. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Review elections and things like this.
And I can email you.
Mayor, with the RFP, can we not go to the engineer and just have that be,
Yes.
because I don't want to spend no more time on engineering.
All right, public hearings.
Thanks, everybody.
Before we do 7.
You want to do the budget workshop first or 7? Doesn't matter. I don't know.
For the budget, continue on 7 or?
If you pick it up, it's another expense.
Thank you. It's not in the budget now.
Nuh-uh, not the pickup.
I wanted to make that 4, we consider the budget.
Either way,
Then you have to go on amend it. or whatever.
Well,
Right.
probably, hopefully tonight that you really don't adopt the budget, because there's still a lot of questions that you guys have. That we'll have to work out more little details. I really think you'll have some more changes that you'll want me to make. But if we hold the public hearing and then maybe the next meeting adopt it.
Put it off to the 23rd. Have to be in on.
The end of the month, I
End of
think,
the
is
month.
what the state law is.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be a weird date, but it is the 30th.
Yeah, it used to be the 21st.
Mhm.
I know that because I plan my wedding around it.
Yeah.
That's not a joke.
All right, item 6, public hearings is amend, 6A is amend, schedule possible action to amend 2023-24 fiscal year budget resolution 2024-N.
Do you want to do the workshop first or, because I'm going to be talking and I can't really write. I don't know if you want to do a workshop and just kind of, and then see what you guys want to do.
We'll go back, item 5, but. Laurie.
Okay. So you do have a new budget in front of you.
Throwing in numbers, not in revenues, unfortunately.
So I don't know if we want to just start with maybe what we were waiting for is the tax rate. So if you turn to page 38. Huh?
We did.
This morning, today, yeah. Yeah.
We've been waiting on
That's
it.
right.
We've been.
So in the budget, what I use is I kept the same number that I had used previously, which was like 1,185,000. So that's the number I kept in the budget. So in these charts, there's the first section that says no tax increase. If we did no tax increase, our carryover would be a 17.69 carryover. The rate goes down from this year, it's like 0.000786 to 759. If you guys decide to maintain the rate from last year, our carryover goes up to 18.15% carryover. I know the mayor last time said, I thought our goal was 23% carryover. So this is kind of showing you where we're heading to. And then the third one was, I just kept that same amount in here. So that was an 18.95% carryover. The next one down is if you want to have a 20% carryover. It goes from the 786 to the 899 with the zeros in front. And then 23%, and then there's the 23%. Yeah, I did that one. No, I just changed that if we did, well, I was trying to get it up to 23% for if we put the police department inside of it. So that was just for that last column. Yeah. So if you look just to the right of them, you can kind of see for every chart that we go up, the additional revenue that we get from raising taxes. So if we decide to maintain the rate, we get an extra $38,000. If we do a tax increase and try to get that 20% carryover, our budget goes up $198,000. If you want a 23% carryover, the budget goes up 470, or the revenue goes up 473,000. And then to the column to the next to it just says the increase on the rate. So the first is 0% increase. If you go to maintain it, it's going to be a 3.5% tax increase. You go up to 20% is an 18.45% increase. The 23% carryover is 43% increase. If you want to maintain the 23% carryover and add a detective, it is a 70% increase. So that's just kind of showing you what's there, what your budget carryover is, if you have some goals there, and what it does if you add the additional officer there. And the budget at this time does not include the extra officer, and I just maintain that rate in between, which is the third chart down.
So that's what's included
in the budget.
In the current right here, but
yeah.
But if the council does desire, they can adjust in any of these scenarios.
And I did call the county and scheduled, if you guys do want a truth and taxation hearing, it is August 13th. So that was already lined up with them. So we,
So sorry,
we got in their
so
calendar.
our budget is based on no increase, like
No.
what is based on here?
So what I put, what's in the budget right now is I just use the same numbers as I guessed.
So we're on this third column here.
Yeah, okay.
So that's what's
Is
in the
what's
budget right
in
now,
this
is what I was
proposal.
guessing. I just kept that number.
From this,
The
maintaining a
the second
constant
call,
tax rate.
Third.
if the tax rate stays the same, that's what the budget is.
As it is right now.
Budget
Last year.
carryover, is that what
So we're comparing last year's rate to this year's rate. So that first, little area is no tax increase. So our current tax rate is 0.000786. If we go with what the county told us, it's 756. So if the tax rate goes down,
That's the revenue stays the same, but the tax rate goes down.
Yes.
basically.
Correct.
So if we want to maintain the rate, you get an extra $38,000 a year, 38,000.
tax increase would be?
That's our budget carryover. We would now go up to 18% carryover, but it's a 3.56 tax increase,
And that gives us an extra 38,000.
38,000. If you want to maintain,
So we have to go to a, we don't have to do taxation, keep the same rate.
We
We
do,
do.
we do. Any,
Well, is it
adjustment.
revenue that doesn't change, or it's the same?
so we get the same dollar amount with new growth. They do not account for inflation. So they adjust our rates to give us the same dollar amount. So sometimes rates
So
go
we're
down
not
in order.
going to true taxation rate, if our tax rate stays the same.
Stays the same.
Yes,
So,
correct.
so if you go to the,
Option two, right.
and then option three
But carryover goes down to 18.
is,
yeah, if you look to the far columns, you can see what it's doing to our budget carryover. We're starting out at 17% carryover. With maintaining the rate, we're going up to 18% carryover. If we do what's in the budget that I estimated earlier, it's 18.9. If you go up to a 20% carryover, it's 20%. 23 is 23%. You can kind of see what it does and how much money you get there.
So, I mean, the second to last one, 23% carryover. I'm seeing between the third from the bottom and the second from the bottom, 20%, 23% carryover. I'm seeing a big taxing, 43% tax increase versus 18%. I'm trying to figure out what that jump is. Tax increase, 20% carryover tax increase,
where are we getting the number? Why are we-
3% more carryover.
but 3% jumps it from one.
Well, if you look at the prior two, from 10 to 18, you were basically 1%. So it was 10%, it was 8% per 1%.
Yeah, the math isn't mathing for me, so.
So the carryover is our rainy day fund, and depending on what that amount is, I mean, it's the percentage of your total annual budget. And so that's gonna adjust in incremental percentages based on that percentage. There's two different percentages
So to
moving
keep
around.
23% in your general fund, you would have to do a tax increase of this.
Or
Yes.
43%.
But you're not counting any particular, well, we can't do on hypotheticals. These are hard raw numbers, not potential sales revenue from businesses or anything else.
No,
That-
this is just
that I
theirs.
believe is one of the problems here. Hardest part about this is we got a lot of businesses opening up and nothing, no knowledge as to what it's gonna bring into.
Right.
But we know what it's gonna bring. No.
But we can't do
Increase
on
revenue. So I guess the question really is, I'm gonna break it down as simple as I can, is how much do we want to dip into the fund? You know, we want to keep it over 20%, or we're going to stay on the 18. I mean, that's, and then wait and see what we start to get in.
If we were to go to the 0.001092, is that second to the bottom, where does that put us in other cities?
So if you turn to page 37, these are last year's. So there's 2022 and 2023. Those are the tax rates. So you can see where we're at last year, the 786. And then,
We'll be in line with 4,000.
yeah, unless they do property tax increases too this year.
We'd be
For
below,
5%.
we'd be below most of them, but
So really that goes from 7,383 to 11,30. We're still below the
And the carryover,
But the rate is higher.
Well,
but the
Okay.
far columns for the budget carryover, that's kind of subjective to you guys too. So those are using my numbers of guesses of, here's the expenditures, here's the revenue, this is how it's all playing out. You know, if you don't like something, you cut it or whatever. So those are based on what's in the budget right now.
All right, let's give Chief.
So it's the first thing we're considering the officer.
I think we should, I think we. It needs to be part of the discussion. So we can decide where, you know.
So I think before you do that, Mayor, though, so the chief, or sorry, the officer is not in,
It's not in here.
is not in this budget.
It's in this, the carryover.
Yeah, so this shows what amount would be required to add that position.
So if you add the position and you want to have a 23% carryover, you're going to raise the budget, the tax 70%.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't. That's not the difference in officers. Right?
That's just the tax, that's what you're going to raise the taxes to cover it.
Yeah, but it's the difference between 721 and 473. It's over $300,000. Is that what we're talking about?
But it's based on the current tax rate that we're at. So this is the property tax percentage increase.
Right, I'm just looking at the revenue goal, it's $472,000 to $721,000. That's the revenue difference.
No, this is the percentage difference from the base rate right now, where we're at. So this is saying we'd have an increase in the current base rate where we're at in 70.49%.
Right, the $700,000 is the actual dollar value.
Right. Right.
Difference between 721 and,
So it's $248,000.
okay, so it's not,
I mean,
it's kind of in line with what we were.
248.
220.
220,000.
I don't know if that's what. Okay.
All right, Chief.
Thank you. My original budget request, for an officer somehow got cut before it got to the, the last budget hearing. I just want to go over the reason, we feel we need another officer. Our detective division is one detective. That one detective right now has 84, or as a couple weeks ago, 84 active cases. Most police departments recommend 15, 20, no more than 25 active cases for an investigator. Harrisville, who's a smaller department than us, they have 2 investigators. North Ogden, who's a little larger than us, they have 4, and they're within 5 right now. So we have 84 cases we expect one detective to wade through. What we're doing is we're prioritizing those cases. We have the felonies, the class A misdemeanors, which entitle probably 30% of those 84. He's busy with first degree felony, sexual assaults, robberies, burglaries that have leads, and the lieutenant who is over investigations along with a lot of other responsibilities tries to help him with those cases. So what it comes down to is these cases that class B and C misdemeanors that we don't have the ability, manpower, the time to investigate. Those are cases that would go through our court. Now the class A's and the felonies go through district court because of their severity. So if we can't investigate class B and C misdemeanors, first of all, the citizens are not happy about that. They get a theft. They want it investigated. They want the property back. So the things we have to put on the back burner and put it on number 85, 86, 87 cases are the simple assaults, thefts, disorderly conduct, trespass, criminal mischiefs, possession of minor drugs and drug paraphernalia, possession of alcohol, E6, tobacco, and hit and run accidents. These are ones we don't have manpower to investigate. So we just put them in an inactive file. And if something comes up on them, we can pull them and look at them. We don't have time to go around door to door and investigate doorbell cams, see who was in that driveway during that night, see if we had, get a vehicle, we get a vehicle license number. Because if we're up toward neck, serious offense. They were down in court today on a first degree felony arraignment. And for the outcome, I think someone got 25 life on one cases. And we got several of those sitting on burn. One detective, it says overwhelming and unfair to give him 85 cases and say, work these by yourself or with a little help from lieutenants. Big help, he's got a lot to do. We've got code enforcement. We brought on to replace Jesse. At one point thought maybe he could take a few of these cases. He's has up today has 45 active cases where he's doing follow-ups on 45 code enforcement issues. He hasn't got time. He's back in the day shift on patrol. He's handling, he's got 45 active cases, and there's some animal service things that he's responsible for, and fixing things he doesn't have time for. We can't give it to patrol. We had an officer hurt last week on call. We did a felony drug raid on a home last week. We got fentanyl. I mean, these are big things. Some of them had their lawnmower, their chainsaw stolen, and their car broke into. They can't even compare to what we need to investigate the serious stuff. And the minor ones, when they call and say, what have you found out on my case? It's embarrassing to say, we don't have time to investigate. You cannot run 10,000 cases a year with one detective. It's just unheard of. I know, I listen to the tax numbers. I understand money. It's everything's expensive. Not having another detective like buying a nice car, but not putting insurance on it. Or plowing the main roads, but not the side roads. Citizens expect and want their cases investigated. So we do what we can, but we have to make an arrest, minor, offense. We can make an arrest because we're there, we will. But even the rush centers come in. We've had a stolen car out of the rush center. We've had a stolen e-scooter out of the rush center. We've had several assaults, had juvenile problems. So all of a sudden, that's put on our plate. Additional traffic on 2700 North, that's put on our plate. Additional accidents, that's put on our plate. To have the officers, if they can investigate them at the time they occur, they'll work them, they'll solve them. If there's anything that the suspect fled, we know he's got a blue Chevy, he lives in Layton, there might be some of the neighborhood might have some information on him. And the fact remains is, well, we don't have time to work that. So what we're asking, I know is expensive. If there's any way of working this out, I don't think we can go. Well, next year, I know it's an election year. We got some big vehicle purchases coming up next year. So I don't think it's something we can put off a year and hope for better. I think it's something we need to deal with now. The last time we had a manpower increase was when Councilman Bailey was on the council. I'm trying to figure out was 2020 or 2021.
We just need to do 2 months ago.
Which one?
You got a full-time officer.
That wasn't an addition, that was a replacement for.
2002, we wanted to at least from last year.
They're replacements.
But we increased the budget for it. Really good.
I'd be willing to,
So it's a reclassification from a non-sworn to a sworn. So there is a budgetary impact.
A year ago or the year before, didn't you already?
We've been going up almost one every.
21. We still have to year.
One every year, yeah.
They're replacements.
Sorry,
Replacements.
We've gotten almost one every year for a while, and 2 1 year.
not
So
replacements, new.
new, I think
We've got
if you
our
average it out, it's
officer,
almost.
Councilman Bailey, whatever that was, and we still have 12.
Well,
If you're gonna count code
since I've been on city
enforcement as an
council, we
officer.
almost doubled like these.
Pardon?
Since I've been on city council since 2016, we almost doubled. It's like this for-
Yeah, it's been needed.
Councilman Bailey gave us our 12th officer, and we have 12 plus code enforcement. I'd be willing to give code enforcement back to the city and use that officer to protect it.
We just have one code enforcement.
is Code Animal Services, they backs the day guard.
Well,
If the city wanted us to take that on, and we did, but I'll give him back if we can make that position an investigator. We need an investigator, in my opinion, where so many people trimming their weeds. I don't know, maybe you don't think that. But I've got 80-some cases that I gotta tell the citizens we don't have the manpower to investigate. I know it's expensive. I hate to even come. It'd be a lot easier just to suck it up and forget it.
How many of those, I'd like to see what those 80 really represent. Because.
Well, I think that there's some that
are just not, you're not gonna solve. I mean, if there's not a rainbow bell or something like that. And I don't want it to be exaggerated to one side and discounted for the other. I'm not gonna do that. We have given you officers, we're very generous. I don't know. I mean, I okay personally a tax increase for an officer. But when I, since,
Councilman Bailey gave us our 12th officer. We have now.
Tax increase for the officer last year.
It was 2017, but we have, I personally know that I almost approved 3 additional officers in second.
We had 12 in 2001, we got 12 now. What's that? For 21, whatever it was.
So just for some color on this, the national average, or in the western United States, is average 1.5 officer per 1,000 population for cities that have between 5 to 15,000 residents. So that would put us at 16.8 officers per 1,000. So we're below the western average, if that matters. We're a different city. We're not, I was the prosecutor in Clarkston, Washington. It's a population on that. It's a lot of officers. But I guess my point is we're below the national average. But the question I have for the chief is, if we've got one detective that's got 84 active cases, what's the rest of the 12 officers? Can we shift around? How burdened are they? Could we move somebody to a detective position and reduce?
I thought that, and we'd have 2 crews of the sergeant and 3 on each, so that's 8. We have a detective, that's 9, the chief lieutenant, that's 10, 11. A school resource and going this. We'll practice them. So if I pull someone from patrol, that's to take us down to single coverage on patrol. Single coverage, trust me, is not a good thing in this day and age. We had an officer hurt last week. We do single coverage and then somebody takes off. We're doing single coverage all too often right now because of vacation, sick leave, stuff like that. And all of a sudden the guys come out, they find out they're going to average 13 calls a shift or 26 a day. But they're going to 12-hour shift, so they're going to average 13 calls a shift. Now they could be kicking a box off the road, or they can be in a shootout. They are going to need help. We can't depend on Harrisville or Ogden. We had cases the other day. One agency had a stabbing, the other one had an injury accident. I had an officer on an injury accident by himself, and by himself, and that's having 2 weeks. But then now you let him sit where you just hope the officer doesn't get hurt. We have one hurt last week. So it's a safety issue. It's a.
So it's it's an efficiency question. I apologize, it's super naive, but I know that some of our officers will like work through the night or whatever, sometimes they get the chance sometimes to sit. I'm just wondering, like, if as an officer is sitting in a location, could they take on a case, a detective case, or could they be working on something on the side? I'm just wondering, like, in an efficiency way, is there ways that we could take downtime and make something happen to lighten the load?
Julie actually did that out in the park. She was doing cases in the car when I was there. So
Yeah, there's a different way, because there's the case, it's working, I mean, at 3 a.m. we can't go interview somebody or go look at somebody's ring doorbell footage, or like, I'm not putting words in your mouth, I haven't done it at 3 a.m. And so
It's not just 3 a.m.
Yeah.
even during the day, patrol officers, things that you don't see them do. You know, how do you put a number on crime prevention, deterring crime? They have vacation checks, they just go around, check homes, they go around, check businesses, they run traffic. They're seeing in problem areas with either crime or traffic. They like seeing them out, they like seeing them visible. They'll drive around, they'll find things on their own. So to give them a case where something was stolen and the suspect lives in Roy, and during your shift, if you're not busy, go to Roy and get a statement and interview these 3 people and not be available for your calls is not a wise decision. Control of the traffic is like offense and defense. There's a specific set of rules and responsibilities for each. And we have to keep those patrol guys out there and available. Single coverage is just scary. Matter of fact, the officers come out, and if there's not someone out with them, they just hold their breath till morning to hope nothing happens or something understood. So it's a safety thing. I think the citizens want their cases followed up. They want police presence. They pay taxes for public safety, for these services. And though we can't afford them, I get it. I don't feel it's the place we should be skipping.
Yeah, so first of all, I appreciate our officers and things that they do. And I haven't personally heard of any complaints. We had a complaint on, I think, on Facebook this week or something, but we didn't get response on, right? So that's the first I've heard since I've been on council.
Dispatch number, not jobs.
Okay, well, I get that. So I just recently met with you and with Stetson, and we talked about some of the efficiency opportunities that we have. We've got a lot of smart, good officers here. And I think there's opportunity for us to do a lot of changes that can improve how we, I don't want one officer on anytime. I think 2 officers is great, so I think that's important. But I think there's opportunities for them to do things that differently, and for the whole department to do things differently. I asked them to come up with some goals, and we're gonna do a workshop. Like what is the goal of our police department? What are we trying to accomplish? When we do things differently, like, can we prevent? Can we do things to prevent things from happening in the city? Can we focus on traffic control for a short period of time during the day and turn everybody over to helping with cases? Do we really have a traffic problem in the city? You know, I don't think we really do. I don't think we have where we need to be sending our officers sitting out there waiting for a call and just watching the street for 8 hours on 10 to 12 hours on a shift. I don't know all the things they do. I want to ride along with them, but I really think we've got to be creative, and we've got to get better at how do we use our people to do better things. And I just don't think we've looked at that yet. I know we're looking at right now, because this is in the budget. We'd have to have a significant tax increase to do this in the budget. But to me, it hasn't been vetted well enough. I mean, we just talked about the code enforcement change 2 months ago. It wasn't that long ago, right? And there wasn't any discussion about this then. And now all of a sudden, hey, we've got to do this. I think it's urgent and too urgent. Personally.
What would be the objection of full code enforcement and investigations? Because that to me is a bigger priority.
Well, I mean, as a chief, I think you've got 12 officers that are huge resources to do anything, right? I mean, they're not all, I mean, there is some segregations in what they have to do and their abilities, but I think there's hundreds of things that they can do different and share a word. I mean, that's what we do.
Sure, we don't understand what's involved in an investigation.
I agree with that. I know I don't understand. I think
We've got a traffic officer out to do investigations. Something's going to suffer somewhere. Right now, we're looking at Class B and C misdemeanor not going through our court because we don't have time to investigate them unless we grab them in progress.
Well, I don't know. What have you asked your team to come up with? What are some of the solutions that we could do different so we don't? So I mean, Is everybody thinking through it? Is it just you?
You can't have an officer, what can you do different?
Say that again.
If you can't have another, I knew they on this, we've asked for reports, actual, I hear what you're telling me, but I haven't seen data. Actual statistics data, I don't want written reports, I don't want you to tell me, I want to see. I'd like to know what everybody does, where they're spending their time, how efficient things are. Because we can't just keep getting more people because we keep getting told the same story every time we get to do somebody. And so it would be helpful if we could find out, what they mentioned, to be, efficient. Well, but just the whole thing, I mean, the whole thing. So,
Detective is 9. Total report was 10, chief lieutenant is 12. It's just not a whole lot of fluff.
Yeah. I think one thing you gotta realize is public exchange and it's evolving and a couple of things. First off, well, a couple of things. Number one, we can't be depending on the surrounding agencies like we depended on for 40 years. 50 years, 60, whatever it's been, since we've existed, we just can't depend on it anymore. That's number one. Number two is everybody wants to be, and this is a broad brush, I realize that, and it's not really everybody, but too many people want to be a challenge, but they want to challenge. Yes, it's a different time you're living in. They don't get the respect they deserve. On the internet too much, and they see big cities that do it, so they think they can do it here, maybe to a lesser degree, but they certainly do it. It's a dangerous, when you start carving these things out, it is dangerous. So, and then we've addressed that with the two people, 2 people on shift. The other thing is, yeah, it's not like we've had 82 calls or 80 cases forever. It's just that there's a lot more crap going on. That's part of it. It's it, yeah. And that's again part of the evolution and part of what we're changing. It's not like, oh, they've just been neglecting it, so it's piled up. No, he's 13 calls a shift. Just so you know, each call between the reports and everything you got to do for each call, it takes close to an hour. If you make an arrest, you have to take him to jail, talking 2 to 3, sometimes 4 hours for that one call. So it's not like, oh, it's 13, they can handle that in 5 minutes. Rather might handle the call in 5 minutes. They got 45 minutes or 30 minutes worth of paperwork because, again, it's what we live in, between the body cams, the training that they have to do. It takes so much more time. I mean, so much more time than what it used to be. So the amount of training the officers have to do for things you never would have ever thought they would have ever had to train before. It's the simplest is how to handle an autistic person. We're going to do a 40-hour mandatory class now because the legislature says we've got to have this training every year. So I mean, it's just it's a different world we're living in. I'm not speaking one way or the other. I'm just giving you some facts I know. See if you have comments.
So we had a part-time animal services code enforcement person.
No.
Yes, we had.
we're-
We had a part, he was full.
Yes, he was full-time,
But Barb,
Barb was part-time.
We just changed it to citizen.
Okay, well, so let's, okay. What if we give up that, that aspect, and I know. I mean, I don't know what's going on with code enforcement, but I mean, I look at a lot of the stuff. And you might be doing some stuff now that, hasn't been done, but the weeds are still, that's always been an issue for the last 10 years. What are we doing? What's the penalty for that? I mean, moving cars and all that stuff. I mean, do we give that back and rethink that code enforcement and give that time to, we can come out of control, do that, do detective. I mean, you know, and I don't know if we just,
And that's the decision.
is that something,
Hey,
you know, what, how much are we really doing with the animal control?
well, we've got to have, so we can either fund it through the county or do our own.
So,
So the
have we looked at the cost of that? I don't know.
Oh, probably, last we looked at it was 400,000 or something.
Yeah, I was, I think it's like, last, I heard it was like.
Yeah, we got one. Yeah,
So
so you have to buy in, because we didn't buy in originally, and then it's.
is it a straight move across the acres and responsibilities, there's something, right?
No, that's not.
Well, then that's not a.
Well, there's an option to use that time.
Hire a code enforcement animal service person. Cheaper than an officer. Not like having an officer back if that's, if we can.
Because the reason that we made that change is because that other person was not a full-fledged officer and needed some assistance when they went into some place. We thought that an officer would be a better person to go and confront some of these people. That was the idea to have an officer. But
But we're not adding another person. You can't have it.
just say that was why we changed that from whatever the classification was to a full-time officer.
Right, it was a civilian and then it's.
Civilian to the officer. I apologize. I didn't listen.
Well, Barb was part-time, so since I've been here, that position was part-time, then full-time with code enforcement added as the chief referenced, and then transitioned over into an actual one officer.
Has it always been on the police side though, code enforcement?
Code wasn't, so that's why we made it a full-time position and transitioned that over. The planner position did code enforcement.
Jesse, you, here.
Yeah.
Jill had done it before and it was a tack on,
It was Barb with.
yeah, Barb with animal, yeah, Barb.
But she was strictly animal control.
And then that was that. She was that.
And Annette was before, no, it was.
Anyway, that doesn't matter, but I mean, can we look at that as an option to use some of that time or pull back some of our expectation from code to have a part-time executive for a minute? It's just the cost. I mean, I wish the public could vote on it for 70%. Now, that's not a ton. You know, I paid $300 or $400. A Pleasant View tax and 70% of that to it. That's, I know, it's
25% of that is saving the vehicle.
how much?
About 25% of all.
See, so we're talking 200, how much, 230?
$220,000.
$220,000. So what is the detective's range?
Do you have a breakdown of that somewhere? It's insurance, do not insurance.
Yeah,
It's a full FTE full-time employee around 150,000.
So with our sworn positions, there's hire and retirement and all of that. I'm not certain.
Yeah, so the 220, 130 of it is salaries and benefits. Startup costs are 90,000. You're gonna be buying a new vehicle, air cards, gas, a gun, bulletproof vest, a radio, radar, laptop, and then every 3 years, you're gonna buy another vehicle. Another 80,000 every year.
If I was to
every
take that
year. So,
spare truck, the old one, and drive it and give the new detective my vehicle, which I got no qualms of doing. That would cut 50,000 right there.
For this term, but then we still have it. I mean, we're not just, we're at 80% of what the Western average is from. Right? I think we're a safer population, so I'm not. But Utah crime statistics in the last 4 years, the last time we added an officer was 2020. That's what we're saying. We went to 12. The person and property crimes down on 20%. Our population in that same time period has also increased 20%. So it does track that if we're supposed to have 1.5 officers per 1,000, adding another officer still puts us at 80% of what we should.
So our total budget is three and a half.
Yeah, it's expensive. But the last thing I was gonna say, well, hold on. The last thing I was gonna say is, this isn't a unique problem. When I was a prosecutor, I had 800 cases at that time, 800 cases. If all of them said they're going to trial, I would have had to dismiss 720. And so that's the court systems are doing the same thing. It's a massive problem. So it's not just an officer thing, because we add an officer, it carries over the case. Our prosecutor's not gonna be able to handle all the caseload anyway. If I'm 80 cases on him, move it all off the officers, he's not gonna be able to handle it.
General fund.
And so it passes up the stream, so it's a problem across the whole system. So that's a great perspective.
Well.
I appreciate it, sharing.
Sorry, I mean, the
Yeah,
only
you're
thing I
about 10
think we
million
can do
in
is
general
to-
fund.
If this doesn't apply, is I'll sit down with the detective tomorrow and we'll go through those 80-some cases and take whatever percent, 50% of them, and put them in an inactive file. It's not working. I think I have a little more knowledge of where we're at. Maybe I need to educate council better. Maybe that's part of my fault. But we have to take a whole lot of class B and C misdemeanors that could have suspects, could be cases that could be worked, put them in an inactive file, and if the guy shows up, this is what they put out. Other than that, I'll have to continue to work the felonies, the class A misdemeanors, and it'll be business as usual. We'll do the best job we can regardless of your decision.
Okay, thank you. Let's bring this back then. I think we've probably covered that. So go back to page 38. Figure out what we're gonna do.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing, I'm sorry, I just think through things with numbers best I can. My property taxes last year were $6,714. Of that, 472 went to the city. So I exceeded the same. I think that's higher than the average Utah clubbing house, but
Yeah.
if we went the 70% increase route, that adds $330 for my taxes. 43%, 202, 18%, 85, 10%, 47. Like you say, the average clubbing house is half. I don't taxable value of 500,000. Yeah.
So it's like $170.
So it'd be $20, $40, $100, 160. No matter what we decide, I think we would need to communicate very clearly to the public, this isn't a 70% tax increase of your property taxes. This is of the pleasant portion, which accounts for about 7% of the overall tax.
Senator, can I ask a question? You know, the police is, and I definitely want to support that. But we have roads that are completely out of, you know, we've got $10 million or $20 million worth of roads in deficiency. You know, we've got many things that, and I don't know where to go from this body as what to do. I mean, we could have a tax increase every year, and still be behind. And I don't know what the residents expect. Because I mean, you know, I'm a resident and a city council person, because I don't want to spend any more money either. But, you know, $250,000, that's a lot of money for a police officer, which, whatever, it was justified. But we need our water, you know, we need, what is that, 10 million, we got the bond for that. For our reservoir, what's that number gonna be?
4 million, if you just do just the water and not any other
$4 million
project.
for bond, and that's gonna go up next year. Right, I mean, so that's gonna add to our, so, I mean, I think we need to.
Well, you'll find out if we have a truth in taxation hearing for 70% increase, everybody will show up.
Oh, it's gonna be nuts, but we need to put it out there, I mean, because, again, $4 million for water, that'll be 30 years. I don't know if that's gonna be per resident. And roads, I mean, everybody complains about the road.
There's 10 lease vehicles up next year that we're gonna have to figure out.
And then, so I don't know, I mean, we're frustrated over this, plus we still need to have a rainy day fund, which I think that's the page 38 is that. And that only gets us so far. Plus, I little chunks get us a little bit, and then I think at some point we're gonna have to make some choices on a bigger chunk. We're still gonna be behind, and I don't know how the residents, I feel like, I appreciate what you're saying. You know, 70% of 6,000 is a ton of money. And I don't know, I can't wrap my head around where it's gonna come from, even next year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years down the road. Our enterprise funds are all whittling down to nothing. And we already talked about that last time. How do we raise that? Raise our water rates or sewer rates? Just
Parks.
Parks is really low. It's, yeah.
but everything else is low. and
It's low if you're gonna have an emergency or you have to do
We're
something.
in trouble.
You're in trouble.
And we are very hopeful sales tax will increase. We just have no historic data, no information on how that'll look.
That's a key part of it.
Well, I know, you talked politically that next year, I don't think we can say, let's do a 70% tax increase because we're afraid of doing it next year. That's political nonsense, okay? I think we need to say, what should we do this year? And even I would suggest if you don't increase something, we look and see what the sales tax and revisit it and maybe the end of the year and open the budget, do it 6 months. If the money's there, because we are getting businesses that should be. You talk about other cities and what they can do, and you look at them, we probably, even including Winter into the equation, we probably have less commercial tax base than any city. Yeah. That's gonna change. Well, yeah, it is, and that's what I'm saying. And it's like, if we do something somewhat moderate now, revisit it when we start to get figures in. If it's still not up to snuff, then you're gonna have to do something, we're gonna have to do something moderate again next year, whether it's an election or not, I think we have to. But I don't really think we should say, hey, let's do 70% now. And, because we're afraid to do it next year.
Oh, yeah, no, sorry, that's not all.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying overall, it was said earlier that next year's an election year and so we probably, and it's true, it's harder to do in an election year, but. I mean, they've elected us to make our decisions rather than,
What I didn't understand what you meant by revisiting 6 months. We can't really change the tax rate with that.
No, rather we could fund an officer with the
Sales tax.
We would know some sales
With
tax.
increased
If
sales
there's
tax,
an
gotcha.
increased revenue from the budgetary numbers of what's coming in and open it up and.
Will we know that? Will we know that on?
It comes in on a quarterly basis.
No, monthly,
Oh, monthly,
As a
sorry.
mention, not
And it's
necessarily
not.
what we do, but that could
it's not budging.
It's
It's
not-
still just staying about.
Yeah, it's really.
Well,
We have increased it, but.
And we're keeping 50% of sales tax here.
If the business is here, 50% of it stays, I believe, 50 to
That's
70.
50.
Yeah, and then the rest is distributed among population to.
Yeah. I mean, Steve's right, we're running. There's either gonna have to be a massive property tax increase over a period of time, or there's gonna have to be a new revenue source in setting sales, which, I mean,
Also, figures that there's no like major economic crisis that people are still going to and play around.
People are gonna have to understand that. We gotta do what we gotta do, but they're seeing these businesses come in. People will say, hey, we're gonna do a 70% tax increase. You're gonna say, well, what about all these businesses?
Yeah.
Well, we don't have the figures yet, but we know they're gonna, they're gonna,
They will have.
yeah.
We don't have.
No, we don't. That's the thing. That's great. No, and I'm not saying we do it. Maybe 6 months from now, we go, oh, well. So they get more business, whatever, but, it all helps. It's all gonna help. And we worked hard these last 6.5 years to bring us out of just being a plain old bedroom community. And, there's cities like West Haven, they don't even have a property tax. They don't even have a property tax. They do all theirs based on sales tax. Yeah, so there's good money to be made in sales tax. You look at North Ogden, okay, we're 12,000 people, they're 22,000. So they're not even twice as big as we are. Look at the businesses.
That's like, sales tax, tax rate is higher.
Yeah.
What was the big Phil mentioned last time about what kind of taxes that you put on the businesses?
Well, you can increase the sales tax. We have the ability to increase the sales tax by 2% in our state if we wanted to. I don't know that it doesn't move the needle unless
No,
we
not
see.
necessarily the future, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, that's the things, there's only so much you can put on property tax, because everybody's gonna confront the school district, with doing improving taxation, the fire district, and then, I mean, people are gonna be taxed.
Sewer district,
Oblivion.
school district, fire district, all those are doing.
Pleasant View home values are increasing at a disproportionate rate, taxes, property taxes, the only revenue source that we
it's
have to
actually
work with,
going to the city.
and that's fine.
Well, we still, if you look, we still have, you know, if you look at that, where the page that was at, where we stand in the convert.
It's 37.
Yeah, compared to other cities.
Yeah, we're still. You know, we need to get that word out.
They don't necessarily want to move up in the region.
No, but we gotta do what we gotta do to make the city
Yeah.
run. But we're in a really weird spot where, we're finally getting the growth that we've been working so hard to get, and yet we're not seeing the fruit.
Yeah. And I know I'm talking about, the concern I have is if you look at that list that's got higher tax rates, all of them are where the significant commercial businesses are in the county. And you add businesses to the county, you add law enforcement needs.
You add
A
infrastructure.
single Walmart adds 15 officers that need to be added to a force.
Well,
Means everybody at Walmart is committing a crime.
Added traffic on the infrastructure, so the road repairs and everything else. The infrastructure increase, road repairs, everything increases.
But home values also impact those rates. And so I know coming from Ogden, I mean.
Yeah.
The lower your home values, the higher your rate is to make up the gap in
Yes.
the amounts.
True.
But
Part of it you could think about is just services, like everybody's talking about increase that they pay for staff. I know for our group, especially with the commercial and obviously the other departments still the same. Same as the offices, it's the expectation and demands have all gone up. But you request tools to accomplish those demands and expectations, and you're told you can't raise the rate, but then if you talk about cutting services. Examples being, reserving parks, events, we added, significant services and what the staff is expected to accomplish with the same group while that burden increased. And I really think, yeah, you're not gonna raise the rates and fill the void with the man hours and the ability to accomplish all these effectively. And you look at new services as, you know, what's the cake services, you know, your reservations for parks. Code enforcement used to just be, we'll deal with it as a complaint only, and then they didn't want to do that as we got bigger and people had their expectation. So they tried to fit it into weird positions that never worked, and it shifted to police, so that, I think it's been the most effective. Braxton's been awesome, Jessica's awesome. Yes, and so that comes at a cost. The city's not immune to inflation, like we're all feeling it, we're all getting eaten alive everywhere. And the city isn't exempt from that. But, you know, your asphalt patches are up, everything's up, so it's only thing that you're not gonna, don't want to cut rates. And look at services and expectations, so.
No, I think we all want to, I think we agree that the rates are gonna have to be increased. What we increase.
Yeah, and I just mean in that interim, that figure.
My point is, do we raise them an extraordinary amount this year and say, well, we're doing it because we don't want to do anything next year, or do what we need?
I don't think we do it, we don't need it, I think we look at, you know, for a rainy day fund, we need to be in a healthy spot. We know that there's gonna be some sales tax revenue coming, and so I think we do something that's just kind of, it's not go extreme, it's just. Then I think we have some more data to make decisions in the future, like as those sales tax revenues come in.
So what is extreme in your, knowledge? Good question.
Well, what have we been maintaining? I know we haven't been maintaining. 23,
Let me get back to,
So if they.
Yeah, we're up
how much
to-
money is in the general fund if it's-
Was it 21 last year for rainy day?
13 or something like that.
how much money is
So
that?
this year that we're in, if you turn to page 13, we're sitting at a 29%, and it's 1.8 million. Next year with the number I put in, we're at 1.3 million and almost 19%.
So that would be,
It's only from 28% to 8.
Down to 18. Uh-huh.
Just for reference, not that it matters, how many years ago did that water rate of 500 happen? How many years ago? It was
This-
a big one out of the.
The stormwater,
It was like, how much was that?
it was stormwater,
How much was that?
right?
Stormwater one.
For the cost.
Water main.
How
Good.
much was that?
$500,000.
$500,000 and then, how many years ago was that? 3, 4?
No, 7.
And, no, I'm just saying, that like half of your general fund, one water main break.
Yeah, we had money, we could,
Yeah,
yeah, so if you, at page 13. With the budget, we're coming in at 28%, almost 29%
So that's not what we were. That's
this year.
Yeah, this is this fiscal, yeah.
So next,
based on final numbers.
mhm.
We didn't approve 28% last year.
No.
so we didn't spend.
Right.
Let me go grab
Getting back to page 38,
original budget.
I like that,
How much am I missing?
1.02%, that's still cheaper than a lot of the places around, if more thought of the
109.
rate is 1.092, that's 43%.
Which one?
The second one from the bottom.
That's the one you like?
Well, we get a little bit of cushion. I don't, 70 is not appropriate, or could it be? 18, that gets us 198,000. It's really isn't. I mean, that doesn't hardly even do anything.
Yeah, I think you got, before you do a huge one like that, you got.
So you feel comfortable with the 899?
So Mayor, this is the last one that we adopted. So for this year, our guess was 23.72%. 23. Almost 24.
And the number in here, Laurie, to clarify, this is not finalized out for the fiscal year, right?
No.
No, those are just guesses, whatever you guys want to do. Change the numbers. Yeah,
So Steve, that one, that 42% increase, just for reference, would be almost exactly the $101 for the average 20 home ag.
And it's still not enough to do hardly anything. I mean, something back in our rainy day fund, which is building up, but we're not expecting our deficits,
Expenditures.
our things. And, a lot of people say, why are you building pickleball courts? Why are you, but yet then we have all these people say, I want a rec center. They don't have any clue really what a rec center costs. And people are just the ignorance of the uninformed, I guess. I don't know. I mean, and I put myself into that, 10 years ago. I had no idea what it cost to run a city. I had no idea, everybody likes the police department for sure. But that's a huge cost to the city, which everybody's willing to pay. But I mean, we're in a deficit, and I've fought this every year for the last 10 years, no tax increase, no tax increase, no tax increase. And a lot of people say, well, you're just kicking the ball down the road. And that's what we've done, and now we're here with the ball kicked down the road. 5 or 6, I don't know. I
We
think
did
a lot-
do one 3 years ago, my first
We
year.
did, we kept the rate the
We
same.
kept the rates.
But that's a tax.
We advertised,
It is.
we advertised today like 18%.
And then we ended up at 5.
Well, we've done that twice since we've been there. It's like, twice.
1, 2,
But it doesn't even cover inflation, and I am not being a proponent of taxes, don't get me wrong, that's not what I'm saying, I've looked at. Hold it. But there's some realities out there that I don't know how we're gonna do, and even at this moment, I don't know how we're gonna fix the deficit of hole we're in.
Yeah.
And that's why I have a hard time supporting that, just because that's $250,000 or $220,000, whatever it is. We just don't have extra when we've given to the police, which is wonderful. And we have some of these other things that we've got to fix too. I don't know where that goes. I don't know what that means, what that looks like, which is so frustrating. So that's why I think, if we do the 10, we get 107,000. Hardly anything in the budget, I don't know.
Going to that 0.89 range. Increase, it doesn't even mean what the issue.
No, it doesn't.
Average home costs and stuff. Differences in city base, but it doesn't move us up. It's not, it doesn't really move us up either.
It's just crazy. Yeah. This budget sucks.
But I personally think that rate, we probably need to increase tax rate. But we also need to see the sales tax. Maybe it's a series of small percentages every year to get us there instead of huge jumps. I think that's what we intended to do. But when we talked about it 2 years ago, we did 5%. We said, hey, we really ought to do that. It's kind of a consistent thing, keep moving that along. So, I just don't think.
So 5% is gonna be 50,000? Or,
No,
yeah, I mean, if we did a 5%,
yeah, I'm not saying.
50,000.
No, just
Yeah,
small things.
smaller, yeah, well, in this case, it'd be 18%, 18%.
Yeah.
So, that's.
That doesn't even cover the detective if we did do it.
Right.
The whole
Yeah.
40,000 from where we are now.
I think that Larry's made some recommendations here, giving us numbers, I appreciate that, but we also could do something in the middle there, couldn't you?
You could do 25.
Right, so I mean, like, we kind of have listed here that you go 108,000 increase or 473,000, like, maybe there's somewhere in the middle there that's a little bit more moderate, but still not taking the can down the road.
Is there something, I mean, be honest with the public, put it out there and say, these are the things, this is the real money that we're getting. This is, I mean, could we put something out there in mayor's message or something and? Or would that,
These costs.
would that open a whole?
So the state law requires for the advertising of a truth and taxation hearing very explicitly the font size, the publishing, how that's done. However, in addition to that, to supplement that, we can absolutely.
Well, we're the voice of the people. I'm a
Right.
citizen of the city.
Right.
And I want to do what the city wants, and to put it out there. I mean, if they don't care that we have these things, cutting separate public works or cutting services or, whatever that is, do it. If they don't want to pay for it.
Right.
But that's a
I
big
think
burden.
they do, and they don't want, do you know what I mean?
Well, it's just like
So like.
everybody says, we want a rec center. How many people want a rec center for the
There's a lot of people.
10 million or whatever? I don't want a rec center costs, but it's a lot of money. Okay, but people, when they say that, they want it, but they don't really realize what the cost of that.
Or even what,
80% of cities don't have.
like when you pave the road, when Tyson was talking about, this is what 200,000 would get you from me to that back wall.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, and this is a really historically challenging budget. And I mean, when we first sat down and looked at the number, I mean, it was just depressing because it's like, we'd love to fund the detective. We'd love to, you know, support the staff, all of our staff, and including our officers, our public works, the office. I mean, we're all strapped so thin. And we'd love to enhance that, but it's just such a challenge. And this budget in particular, and to have, and the mayor can attest to this, every time we talk with League of Cities and Towns, we're like, fixed property tax, it does not account for inflation, and it kills us every year. And the record inflation years like this, it just pounds us hard.
Yeah, we have the last 2 years, last 2 years, it's been 5% increase, right? Yeah, right.
We didn't do an increase last year, so
Last
it's.
year before was 5%. The year before that, was 5%.
For the last 2 years, inflation's followed them.
Yeah, so by point, inflation is nearly 30% in that time frame, you know, so.
Well, we were. That's it. So,
Man, you know more about this than anybody, but we separated from the fire department in 2009. Fire department, fire district was 25% more of a tax than the city pays. So we pay 25% more to the fire district than the city. Is it even in the realm of possibility it's cheaper for us to have our own volunteer fire, our own fire department versus being part of the district? We're not deciding right now, right? But we're taking this.
And the reason there's a big on it is when I was first elected mayor, I was approached by cities looking to forming a police district. 3 cities. And I told them, and they said, you got experience with this, what would it take? And they said, well, I'm going to tell you, it's not feasible, but I will put the number down and show you why it's not given. So I did all that and went back. And the reason is because of the tax structure. In other words, if you look at the police budget, our property tax doesn't even fund the police. And that's true with every city. So it's like I said, well, you have to, for the police district, you have about 3 times the tax rate as you do currently. Just in that district. So if you're looking to save money for your residents, it's not going to work. If you're looking to increase service or make efficiencies or whatever, that's a different thing. But because of that kind of district is dependent on strictly property tax. You don't get franchise tax or sales tax or any other taxes, you get property tax. And that's why it's so difficult in there. Oh, we have no idea.
So to that same point, then talking about the police department versus the county sheriff, we differentiate that from the fire districts different from the county provided police services. Wasn't. Because it seems to me what you just said is that it's too expensive for us to run our own fire department. So that's why we go to a county and district model. So that we run our own police department instead of going to a county and district model. Is there?
Well, all I can say there is every city that is contracted with the county are paying a lot more money than we are.
Okay, so that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Nobody can quite figure
not-
out why, but that is the case.
Getting the same level of service, frankly. I mean, we get excellent.
Mayor, going back to Phil, and I'm not advocating this either, but if we did in the Northview Police Department, we could eliminate 2 chiefs. We could eliminate some things, couldn't we? I don't know. But it is the cost truly bigger?
Well, I did that as a whole part of this, as part of the study. You know, what could be eliminated, what possible cost savings you could really have. And it still was 3 times more.
Really?
what about unified fire and unified police department?
What's our policeman? We're now the smallest department. But there's no.
They've got the wall.
Yeah, but.
2.3.
See, that's what I'm paying.
2.3 million.
2.3 million, what are we getting property tax? 1.2?
Almost 1.2, almost.
So half, half of property tax, for half of it. Yeah.
I'm
And that's
actually curious to see what other, just curious what other cities pay to have insurance. Just out of curiosity, I also need just to see.
I don't know, I mean, and I didn't mean to open that, I just asked, you know.
But that 1.2 million is not a real number because a lot of their equipment's coming out, the equipment replacement fund too. So you got another,
So the.
add that in.
Police.
Yeah, I'll
But
be.
my point is,
Please
so
stay full.
that's why the district, that's why other districts that have formed are now collapsing. They are back to this, go back to, you know, it's like, oh, that was a failed experiment.
Yeah, I just didn't understand why it doesn't.
Well, and it does get competitive between the communities as well with the level of service provided.
What other sources they have? They have.
Ambulance fees, which is close to a couple $1 million.
Massive revenue source,
Who has that?
And
fire department.
So they're looking at, what was their percentages to be set? I think Brian told me that's.
I had two board meetings just today. I had to go to the subject agreement because they needed to form. But you go to the fire. See what they're, I know several regions are proposing to be 5% or 6%.
Well, it's also looking at, we're gonna have to bond again, so every entity on the grid property tax. To go down, every single.
I'd really like to look into Bill's idea on the sales tax increase. Because, you know, the thing is, like, if people go out to eat, it's not everyone from Pleasant View eating at our restaurants, you got people from Paris, from North Ogden, they don't have to go out to eat, like, it's kind of the, whereas property tax.
Consumption
Have to
tax.
say that,
I don't know how to, well, you gotta, it's a risk benefit, right? What do we get? What do we yield versus the, is it harms the business, right? And we don't wanna harm, we wanna entice businesses to come. But that's been my question is if it yields $1 million to increase it by 2%, then that solves all the
I
problems.
just don't think you have that.
But I don't think it's gonna be a lot, so, yeah, pretty small. So
It's like the gas tax and it's the other 75 cents here, whatever is gas. Everybody's paying that.
Yeah.
Once we're built out, though, we could do a data analysis
So
and really
maybe
get
that's something
good.
to look at at the end of the year.
When do we have to publish it to taxation, or do we have to decide tonight what we're doing?
No, you can decide at the next council meeting, that's fine.
Oh, hearing and actual approval, but it could be denied for adoption and setting the prison taxation. And for August.
12th?
August
Or
13th.
we could have, or we can have a public hearing, set, well, that's kind of pretty close, because the advertising has to be. That's okay. I guess it's fine.
Well,
25th, so
we have the public hearing this evening,
yeah,
so
public hearing
we're okay.
today. We don't have to make a decision or approve the adopt the budget until June 25th. But we have to. Yeah. Which is happening tonight.
But
So
we've stated,
it's the budget workshop. So
we've stated in the public hearing since we introduced it. Right? Oh, we're talking. Okay,
So,
we're working on this.
It's a problem.
So it's, I'm just curious to get everybody's feelings here. Steve has mentioned 23% carryover, Dave is kind of mentioned somewhere in the middle. Nobody said, I'm just curious what everyone's thoughts are. What are your thoughts, Sarah? I know that this meeting is, I don't know how big.
I think both comments. Sure. I see this one down, ball fire, so, it's you're right, I understand. If we could fund, part-time or overtime with $25,000 to have one of our part-time, if they will, or bring one in, book them in a day a week. It'd be a lesser hourly and no benefits. Try to throw them a case or two, clear up some of these I mean, it would chip away at our problem.
Yeah, I think, I like the creativity and the plan to look at a lot closer, and I think we got that. I think you're right on with that, I mean, that's the next best option.
It's small, but it's step in the right direction.
Yeah,
It's not like that will, it's not exactly what you want, but it's getting into that direction.
I don't know if one will, or if we could track, check, like, we can and say, you know, everybody wants more money. Take you come in on your day off every other Monday or Tuesday. Take a couple of these misdemeanor cases and run, and see what you can do.
maybe have them come to you, you know, the normal route or whatever, and have full-time officers doing that work, you know, doing.
Yeah.
And if we find, you know, we could, it'd be a lot cheaper to get a part-timer to do it. We bring a guy in overtime, time and a half, I mean, that's okay. If we can get a part-time to do it, to find one that's got the ability and dedication, they come in and actually take a couple of these cases, they prioritize a couple of that cases.
Yeah, it works great if it doesn't. Okay.
So, wait, you were mentioning first overtime of the existing force, but now you're adding another person, especially.
Yes.
Well, that part-time, you're still working off a part-time budget. I don't care if we have 10 or 1. We've got a part-time budget. All these guys do is fill in shifts. So we could just add to that budget. Maybe
I like that, so you're.
$25,000 instead of $200,000. They have to come in and work
Well,
some.
I just would want that part-time to be on 700, because that's the second.
We always have-
Let me grab it. Oh, sure.
I don't know. We can try it back on with it.
So would that be considered?
Oh. That was easy. Dang it.
All right, well, we can work
Scary,
it
like,
between now and the 25th. I think what we really need to do before we're done with our public hearing, it doesn't have to be final, but I think we ought to have a pretty good idea. Do we want to go 10%, 15%, 18%, 20%, 25%? What should we be shooting at so that on June 25th, when we do approve a final working budget prior to a truth and taxation hearing on August 13th, that Laurie can go put that together in the final.
And hopefully we can get the county to help to create the advertisement that you guys will see, that it will be a good number. Yeah, we tried to. I didn't dare push that
I
button.
think you gotta lock it in.
Okay, I didn't dare
Yeah.
push that button and approve
We
something.
really can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, on the revenue increases that we're talking about here, you would, budget carryover above the existing budget.
So it's the rainy day fund.
It's a rainy day fund we're talking about here. So if there is things we can do inside the budget to reduce or to move things around, then that gives us even more flexibility in spending, or reduce costs, whatever. Anyway, so yeah, that's, to me, I think 20% is the max. I don't know.
Well, like Lori pointed out, we anticipated having 23% carryover, and we ended up with projecting about 28, so we spent 5% less than we thought we would spend. So if we approve the
That is
20,
true,
we may be
We still have
25.
200,000.
Yeah.
pickleball.
Get us back,
That's,
Plus-
that's
plus
just
the-
general fund.
which I think may not materialize in next year. But I mean, we've
Well,
got,
it's good. It should start coming in, but yeah, it's not gonna go like that.
No,
It should hopefully.
as long as the economy stays
Yeah.
steady and people spend.
But I think if we do the lower percentage now, can't be afraid to do it next year. We gotta do what we gotta do. That's why they elected us. It makes it matter, not. We gotta do what we gotta do.
I think every city's going to do this, but maybe all of the entities were had tax increases last year, just about, it seemed like, and the majority of them.
And I was looking at money.
I think
Well, we did get it.
to keep the rates in the.
No, we were still working off of the ARPA funds that were helping
But we did
support.
higher revenue because.
Yeah.
So,
So All right, so are we ready to go out of the budget workshop and into the public?
Just can I do a few comments though? So I did a lot of red lines. It's so if you can go through them and just see the different changes to see if you still are okay with the new numbers. I did do those. We did include a few extra things. The next item we're going to be talking about is that pickup election for public safety. It is not in there. We'll talk about that. We did include the Blue State technician, but that is mostly coming out of the roads funds. And then we included 800 hours just to do some crack sealing, and that's going to come out of the road fund too, to do crack sealing.
We put sorry, maybe a dumb question, but and then blue states versus come out of something besides the road fund?
No, 8,000 of it's going to come out of general fund and about 72,000 of it's coming out of enterprise funds. Your water, your sewer,
good.
so they're going to pay for it.
Why can't that? 100%?
Why can't?
Because.
You just-
it's Someone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
you
help
kind-
with snow plowing and some of the other functions, and so
Okay.
a portion
otherwise
of
it
it.
eliminates
Kind of
their
check the
ability
road
to
funds for
support the
roads.
department.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
well,
road fund.
no.
It's enterprise fund.
Yeah, the enterprise fund for the blue staker,
So water, sewer.
but the crack seal person's coming out of roads, and that's like $9,000.
Okay, people, I'm sorry to interrupt.
So, just things like that. So if you guys kind of go through and just see if you agree with them. We've added things for future years. Plug numbers, some of them we don't have any numbers, but we added it as a, remember this for some time. Like the lights on the walking path. So if you look through them and see questions, let me know. We can change them or we'll just keep working on it.
You increase the discretionary funds for. By for council or.
Yeah, so that one's highlighted. So the discretionary,
Page 5.
that's that 175,000 for the cemetery land purchase. And we've added 12,000 for surveying and then 305,000 for this next year for road construction,
For the
cemetery.
And that's one that's probably one of the top. No one more to subdivide it, supposed to put the road in. I don't know if we want to. Raise it. We've had, so, yeah, we've got, is that all coming out of general fund?
Mm-hmm.
I talked to this baby about this, it's like, well, we're doing it all one big deep package and it's gonna become quite a ways down the road, you know. Don't know what legally we can do, and we have to abide by our own ordinances. Says we have to put in improvements. It's on our master road plan. That's a,
So it is included as part of that map, and ultimately, yeah, I mean, so in researching the state law, the city ordinances, we can transact the purchase of the property, which we're looking to finalize this week. But from there, any use or modification of that would require subdivision. And it does clean it up, but it also cleans up some other property that we've already purchased and kind of creates usable function. So I mean, it's a multi-purpose subdivision process.
and I don't know, what is the road size?
Oh,
60 foot? Is it 60 foot?
I can look on the
Is
on the
it
map.
or for mid-states?
Yeah, asphalt's 50 or 55, I think. Let me look. Don't quote me on roads.
I thought it was 60 foot.
Mm.
When you were doing, public works, from-
Road plan.
It is a smaller.
Yeah, people are not, there's
Oh, wait a minute, there is a state law that says that now it can be 35 foot.
smaller.
They can, and you don't have to, unless it's a major collector,
Well, so there's the state law, but there's also our ordinances and
but state law supersedes our ordinance. So I do remember this, because
Well, we can still have roads in our plans that are bigger than that. We just can't require a developer to put, yeah.
And it could go as small as 35.
So that would require a general plan amendment.
Yeah. but
Yeah.
that's state law.
We're happy.
Yeah,
Maybe
Just a
we still dedicate the right of way. I don't know.
well, and we
When
could,
we don't, and we kick it, or we get that cemetery down the road and then you're.
yeah, there's stuff.
We start selling lots, that's like a separate district.
No, I think, that still needs to be hammered out. We've got to figure out, do we want to just pay the district a certain amount to bury people? Do we want, you know, they don't necessarily need to make money other than they got to cover the costs. And so if we say we're going to bury some, but that needs to be worked out. But I think the actual cost needs to come back to the city to reimburse us for the money we spent.
That's what, never heard of that, and what we're gonna do with that, because that could be, I mean, hopefully that will pay enough to.
Yeah, so an opening proposal might be a little more expensive than probably than the North Island. It's not a lot, but just to cover the costs. Plus there's got to be the cost of maintaining.
So that is a 60-foot right of way, but we would need to verify with the state law. Yeah,
I do remember state law saying that it's a major collector, you can't be 65. It's not a major collector, you
But-
can't grow.
Because I wanna get my spots there, and we.
Yeah, and really, I just brought that up. My preference is to go ahead with it. It's still $305,000 out of general funds, so. I think we've separated the issue down below. I think we can still sell that property, whether it's to the, I'm not talking real general, 'cause we should be in close medium buckets.
Yeah.
If not to that one people, we can still sell. the
oh, there's
property
options for sure.
And we can prove the cost.
So that's, I think it's a good.
So we can leave it in the budget and go from there. Anyway, yeah, sorry,
Hey,
take the money in the water. It's $305,000.
Pretty muddy, thanks, man.
on page,
Yeah, please.
page 10, just curious, so, is,
They get hurt.
professional, I know we outsource our inspections, but I.
Why does it so much generally?
Is that something now that we're going to review plans?
That's.
At the top, on page 10, is there,
Well, they're gonna go, that's a problem.
it says for outsourcing. inspections to the final
We
review.
still do all of it. We still got engineering specs that need to be reviewed and fire inspection and engineering and finding is the planning part of it.
That, so,
But he doesn't do the engineering part.
no, but plan review, so we don't, is, that's for engineering, or that's for planning, or,
No, that's not the part. We have a planning.
okay, so we do outsource inspections. So we just increase the budget for that, though, because more is going on.
I think it's just based on the commercial growth and the plan reviews, those include what's being done by like Tyler and others, so it just.
Which page are you guys on? Page 10?
Talking about the transportation sales tax, so the reduction on the railroad rates.
Oh. Yeah, well,
It's an expenditure.
That's the money that comes in, so it's restricted. So whatever money comes in, we expend. If we don't spend all of it, it is only for that fund, and we keep track of it yearly. Just like the B&C road money, it comes in, goes out, we just keep track of balances. Yes, and that's something the RDA.
Mary's great with that.
Okay. Yes.
We're increasing the Founders Day budget by.
Well,
It's the same as last.
I hear that we're doing the 5K run too. And so we put some money in that because we keep hearing that we're paying for medals and all these different things.
we're done. Donors are, and.
Because we're getting bills, and so we didn't know
I was.
shirts and stuff. So
But even if the donors
they're-
are paying for it, we do need a higher amount just for the pass through of what that is.
Yeah. Which I.
If we're paying for it.
Submitted donation checks and then it's
Mhm.
going into the veterans.
Yeah, it just makes the total budget higher, even though it's, I mean, it's funded
It's
differently.
funded by
Yeah,
the-
yeah.
Where is that? You want to check it?
That's going into the parks and it's just gonna sit there for maintenance there. But this is general fund where we're actually paying for,
Put it in.
yeah, if you're gonna expend something, it needs to be
Yeah,
here,
which I think
even though you
most
give
checks,
us
so
money.
that's gonna be really good to put into the veterans fund.
Okay, so you want us to look over the reds,
Yeah.
and discuss that?
If you see anything weird, or even if they're not red, if you have a question on it, just say, hey, what's this number? And
All right, let's move on to the public hearing. Because I don't think there's further than public. So let's go ahead.
You're all making motion to go to the public hearing.
Start at 6A to the one to amend the 2023-24 resolution 2024 that, yeah. So we're at a second. Motion by Gibson, second by Yuri, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Maybe the public hearing. And that'd be Laurie to amend the budget.
okay, well, we've done our workshop. It's up to you guys.
Let's.
If you want to-
What?
We have to remember to-
Okay, let her tell us what we're gonna amend. And then we always give the staff presentation before the public.
Yeah, so
Comment.
same thing as our workshop. I have made those red line changes. We can go through, we've had the workshop on it. We have to hold a public hearing, let any public that wants to speak to it. We can close the public hearing. We can keep it open until next time if you want to,
And this is to amend the 2023-24 budget.
the year we're in.
All right. So you got specifics of what you want amended?
Oh,
What you've come up with, it's kind of a semi-final.
yeah, nothing much.
Increasing it. Moving stuff around.
Actually, in the general fund, what I changed actually is increase of $152,000. But I increased some expenditures, increased some revenues. A lot of the revenues were building related. Just this last month, we got like 5 residential building permits, and we only received like 2 the whole year. Do you know what I mean? So I've included those and guess maybe 3 more. So that I've increased. But the net effect on the general fund was 152,000 increase. That we're seeing. That's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a great. Net increase in revenue. Expenditure. Is that?
Revenue over expenditures in the general fund.
And that.
I was gonna say, that's reflected in the,
These are the numbers you're seeing compared to what,
yeah, so even like next year's increases, that's.
you know, I didn't give you the resolutions because I thought we weren't going to adopt them, but I have them here in case you decide you want to
Would you
adopt.
rather us not do the amended one?
Yeah, because then I can do them all together at once and send them to the state auditors in one package.
So the proposals is to amend the current year budget, 2023-24 that we're in now. It will reflect about 152,000 more than
Revenue.
so in black than in the red, so that's a good thing. Does any member of the public wish to address amending 2023-24 fiscal year budget?
I know they want to say that.
I think this is where it fits. This is the public hearing.
Well, it depends what you want to talk about.
Gonna talk about this year or the other one?
No, it's still on it.
This is the amendment of this year's, but
Yes.
And this year's budget ends when?
June 30th. We're talking about amending the budget. Current.
It's a public hearing.
We just had a budget hearing on the budget. We're looking at for July 1st.
So when do you give comments for that?
Okay.
Next.
Well, almost. Don't go to the bathroom.
we should do we have any kind of prizes for sitting here?
I have chocolate in my office.
So,
Chocolate.
Okay,
does any member wish to address the amending of the current budget in 2023-24? If not, I'd entertain a motion to close that.
Mayor, motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion, but who got that one? It was a. Motion by Nelson, second by Aaron, all in favor, say aye. Okay. I believe we're not gonna take action on that. We're gonna just.
Yeah, if we
bring
can do them
that
all
forward
together.
to Action, won't be a public hearing, but we action. Okay, next is 6B, which is discussion of possible action to adopt 2024-2025 fiscal year budget, resolution 2024-0.
Make a motion to go into public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Aaron, second by Nelson, on favor, say aye. And we're in public hearing. Do we have anything more you want to present on?
No.
Probably heard most of it, so. Any members of the public wish to address that, please state your name, where you live.
Hi, I'm Catherine Barrett, I live on 1100 West. And
What's that?
thank you, 3788. 1100. So, thank you, this has been very educational. I think all citizens need to come and hear all the hard work that you do and go on some ride-along police and go out with Tyson and see, because we just think the parks are gonna be there, the police are gonna be there, the budget's gonna be there, everything, you know what I mean? And I don't think we realize really how much work, and then office, thank you for everything you do. You can tell me, you can help me know this is where this might fit in. I'm a resident on 1100 West. We know there's been a lot of new homes go in up at the top. With that comes, I think, kind of reflects everything that the police have been saying. There's impacts on the police, on the roads, on everything that happens, on the safety of the residents that are there. I had seen in the mayor's newsletter that it was going to be this public hearing piece. So I thought, oh, maybe this would be a time at least to start this discussion, and you can give us some guidance on how on the residents we can maybe help out with this. The other day I was going on a walk and noticed, and thank you for the speed sign, what do they call it, speed feedback sign to tell you how fast you're going. I was just walking down the street and I could hear a car because I live on 1100. I go, oh, that one's going fast. I could hear it coming up behind me. It was clocked at 45, going down if you know where that sign is. That's not unusual. There's other residents who've been trying to turn into their driveways, turning on a right-hand side, cars trying to pass them on the right. Just going up the street, you'll get passed by cars because they think you're going too slow. Turning left to go into driveways, they'll try to be passed on the left. There's a lot of pedestrian traffic. There's a lot of bikers that access that to get up to the canal road. I mean, there's no stop signs from the very top clear down to the bottom. One resident described it as it's a big steep slope and a 6 jump. And yeah, until you get to the bottom. And so, and I know that you were working hard. I know the police are working hard. I know they've been responsive when we called and said, hey, can you at least come and have a car sit over here? At least the times that I talked to them, there's been a police car that showed up. Nevertheless, all of these things, it doesn't seem to be really impacting a lot, especially with like the construction traffic. I mean, it's just really, it's getting to be a real big safety concern pulling out of your driveways. So I know there are some things that can be put into a budget, like there can be signs, there can be, lines painted. Some of those things, the portable speed, signs, there can be education. So you could help me know, like, what can we do to maybe try to look at putting some of those things in place short term, and then maybe some traffic calming techniques and strategies more long term. Because as the residents and the houses increase up there, so is the impact and the pressure on 1100. And as long as 1100 remains like one of the only feeder streets going out of all those ones out there.
Oh, and as it's developed more, which it will be.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just, I mean, we're feeling the impacts. A lot of people, we've been there 25 years, 30 years or whatever. We're just really starting to feel the impacts of that. So, and it sounds like everyone's being stretched. So not to add to that burden, but also just like, what can we do to help with the safety? Because I just looked up quickly some things online and for, about every 2 miles an hour that someone's going down from like 20 miles to 35 really increases the fatality rates on like the pedestrians or, things happen where that happens to be, hopefully there won't be. And then putting in the sidewalk on that one little piece that connects that'll be helpful for the school children and, those kids trying to get to the bus. It's just, I mean, it's really, for a few years I thought, oh, we need to do something. We need to do something. And sometimes maybe it's been in my mind, you need to do something, but now as I sit here, I realize we need to do something. We're residents on that street. We need to, so that's what I wanted to say. And you can help me know, like, if there's someone we need to contact to work with that, like if we want a specific request of saying, hey, we'd like 2 signs, we'd like some, some striping, we'd like something, some education at Pleasant View, the Founders Day, like. And so maybe you can just direct me to where.
Well, this is a article.
Yeah. Right.
These
Sure.
are my newsletters. I can't tell you how many times over the last 6.5 years. I just like. And here's what I found, and I don't show this generally with the general. I met with the legislature, our legislators, and said, hey, you know, this thing about traffic quotas and all that, it's nonsense. We need to be able to go to our places and we want to do the right X amount of tickets. And here's what they educate. The officers don't want to do it. The admin doesn't know. Judges don't really do it, but most importantly, the residents don't want it. They don't want there to be, you gotta have X amount of tickets, you've got to enforce your laws. They
It's
really
just one
don't
little
want
piece of it, right? I mean, there's a lot of different
And so,
strategies
yeah.
besides the ticketing. I think that's one piece, maybe the most, the best behavior
Well,
modification.
it is.
But it's like, that's
It's
one
true,
piece.
because we tried traffic calming on that street. Yeah, where that curve is.
Yeah, there's a blind curve. I don't know if there'd be, a, warning sign,
And
blind curve. I don't know.
historically, traffic calming works for a few months.
Yeah.
Okay, and then it's just like drive this way, so you can paint narrow, you could do these other, people ask for speed bumps. Which would be great if you California or something where it doesn't snow.
Like, there's some, like, there's like speed.
So that's
pillows
what I'm
or
saying, I'm not
speed
trying
bumps
to
and
offer
there's
excuses,
different-
I'm just
yeah.
saying, this is a hard thing, and it is citywide. And I think that our police officers really have stepped up. Okay?
Yeah.
We didn't set a quota, we just said, hey, guys, you try to hit these problem areas, and they've done a really good job in stepping up to some problems, like you said. And we did buy a trailer, so we move it around. But
And
we
some
got
folks may, I don't know, like, how much is, how much does a trailer cost and what is the behavior modification that happens with that? Like, maybe, I don't know if that's $1,000, or, do you know what I mean? But some of those things, yeah, like 10,000 or whatever, do you know what I mean? But I mean, something definitely needs to happen, and the residents, I think, are willing to be able to help.
Signs and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
Again, here's the weird thing about signs. They're effective for new people on the road. The people that's driving it every day,
Yeah.
especially the younger teenagers and that, they don't care. Okay? I mean, they don't really care about the signs. Tell them they're going 20 miles per hour over. They don't care if they get a ticket. Okay. And the parents, again, I got a perfect example of this. My son and grandchildren, they got a ticket, and my son was complaining that not, but they got a ticket, not. Was complaining, why couldn't they just given him one? It's like, dude, break the law. Yeah, it's like, just go pay the ticket. You know? But what I'm saying, well, that's why I said we keep trying to do things, but it's hard to get out in front of this. Okay, let's add these flashing signs, show, hey, you're speeding, slow down, right? And they work for a while. And then they stop. I mean, the signs keep working, but the effect on the people's right seem to stop working or reduce, maybe not stop. It's like, so we add more. And then the problem is they're all over the city, so they don't mean as much in the areas because everything's a problem area. So every road you go on, you see the flashing sign. It's like,
yeah, I think it's kind
so
of going
weird.
from one sign to now we're having signs all over the city, and we're having the police doing tickets all day. That's not really what I mean,
I know,
that's not what
but
I'm
I'm saying,
asking or hoping that we could get some.
trying to say is, we keep trying to come up with this. I'm just telling you
Sure.
why it's such a hard problem.
Yeah, I understand it's hard, and then,
Everything.
something's gotta be done, because all of these streets that we live on a hill, once they go up there, I mean, they fly down. From Pleasant View Drive to Highway 89, there's 2 stop signs plus the one on 89. So that traffic is a little bit slower, and it's only 25 miles an hour, so. I mean, I'm not expecting you to come up with all the answers, but at least not say it's hard and nothing's gonna help. That's
No, we
really,
keep trying, we keep trying. And the 1100 is one.
so I guess.
I live between those 2 stop signs, and I don't believe there's a traffic problem. Because it's between those 2 stop signs.
But given that, I'm
But
gonna
it's
say,
like, you don't get it, you're not.
you just, you talked about.
It's the same on the.
And it's going up and going down, yeah, it's,
They
so-
put on the brake. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I guess back to my original question, is there someone, a certain contact person that we could work with? Is there somewhere like we can, at least for our 1100 West, the residents can try to come up with some game plan working in conjunction with either a representative or an employee, something that,
Yeah,
because I think we're willing to have some skin in the game and help with this because we live there. We're the ones that's walking those streets. We're the ones that are in danger. We're the ones that are having impact.
Person, admin to have that. How do you think?
Well, that's the part that's about it.
We have a new officer,
Extra patrols or.
it's a community resource officer, and he's the one who's behind
And
it.
yeah, I know for me, like seeing those signs of like kind of something else happening, because I know you have to be very intentional. And so now from my house down, I'm like, I have not been speed. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
And actually, I just Googled what you Googled, that's actually one of the things around there too, is that people who live in that area, not that everybody will do it, it's too darn slow.
right.
You
And
know,
so,
to drive.
because that's
slower.
probably the most impacts from the people who live there or that access that road.
That's really.
They was,
And I wonder if it was to pass out flyers, to everybody,
Yeah,
like, oh, we're watching you, please pay attention, drive
Yeah.
5 miles under the speed limit.
Contact.
Sure. So thank you for your time. I know it's going like you guys help us.
You should have the right time and have these.
Anybody else wish to address?
You're awesome.
Mayor, can I ask a question?
Yes. You're asking me, you're asking the mayor. Okay.
You know, we've talked about a lot of stuff today, and you were two good residents, I think. And I don't want this to go on forever, you may just a minute or 30 seconds, but as a resident, what are your thoughts about the tax increase or something to pay for some of these things? Because a sign is about $5,000, a little blinking sign costs us $5,000 per month. I mean, it's not cheap, you know, it should be $100, you know, 5,000, I think, is that what? The RDA? About five grand to put a sign up, and so we can put some of those up, but that's $5,000.
Right, and I think, there's also the thing is like the benefit versus the cost, right? And I think looking into those studies, I just did a brief little thing online, looking down in Salt Lake and the unincorporated and different things they've done for traffic calming, and they have some statistics, the National Traffic Council has statistics on, like the mayor was saying, like, this will do this for this long, and, so kind of like trying to get the most bang for the buck. I think it's educational just to see like what all the fees are, like what everything is that you have to, consider, as a resident, I'm saying $5,000. Of course, we've got $5,000 in the whatever 2 million budget for a sign on the street because that's what impacts me. But I think it all just you have hard decisions.
So if we put forth a 25% tax increase, Pleasant View's portion of your sales tax, this.
Well, if you're 25%, I would want to know what does that mean to me?
And where does that go?
It's probably about $150 a year.
And where would that money go? That's one, right?
Yeah, like where's it going, what's it going for? I just think being able to see like all the top, all the fees, seeing that, like there's a deficit.
Anyway, I apologize, so
Yeah.
I agree, I just.
Would you be a little bit shocked or be like, oh?
Well, when I hear like, what did you say, 20%?
So you're saying like, if you were like a $70 increase
A year. And I think also we said inflation's hitting everywhere, like, so I'm at the stage where it's like, well, this is like this much, and this is going to lose, and this is going this much, but then also on the other hand, inflation is going, there are the costs to run a city.
On the 25th of June, we're going to have, this is going to be full.
Oh, that one will.
August 13th.
So knowing that every other entity on your property tax bill is going to raise their rate and increase your taxes. If we do it as well, just to keep our budget functioning, it's not buying you an extra.
Anyway, sorry, Mayor.
Yeah, I think you do. I think the more educated you can have us.
Well, it has to do with the budget. I just want to
So I can share the.
Sorry.
Thank you, thanks for your time.
We don't get public here very often. We just want you to recognize.
We're gonna say, she sold us.
Tammy there says, here's her address, phone number, and email.
And very
Thank you for coming tonight.
Steve, she's a good person now. She's very.
They seem like intelligent, good, common sense people. That's all I wanted. I didn't want a long thing. I just need to judge the thing.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so
One
much.
thing I also want you to understand, and you can give it to your neighbor. part of the city's responsibility is not just to control traffic, but to move traffic.
Right.
We've got to get those people.
Well, they're moving fast. They're moving down that road. That's that
So,
road.
people say, let's put in a four-way stop sign. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna disrupt the traffic flow that we need to get people from here to there, so they can go to work, they can get on the freeway, you know, I mean.
But
I'm
there's
just
still
doing
like
that wrong,
two-
but
There's lots more stop signs below us and a lot shorter amount of
That is
road
true.
than there is above us, but.
I'm not sure where you want to stick the stop.
It's cross street.
Yeah.
I know,
Like,
I
where
know.
would you stick the stop sign, because they're. there's-
Oh, okay, anyway, so, yeah,
I know.
thank you, so.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for your patience.
Thank you for coming.
Yep, sure.
Sweet.
I'm Jeff Bear, still in the same place. Anyway, just one little point. We talked about the traffic calming line and stuff, and they're up there by the canal, put some in. But we've had the conversation with all our neighborhood and stuff. Like, how much does it cost just to take those lines and take them to the bottom of the street?
Well, it's an experiment to see if they work.
Tyson, on 1100 from the canal, and they need to let us know.
So I had that extension on the end of that chip seal, because as a pile driver, I always wondered why they never extended as the deer crest came through, because they narrow in and into now, so per foot,
Just,
for striking,
yes.
so the,
On the sides of the street, the white line.
But just for that one little
yeah,
section.
but you're doing, so
Now,
trying to do the whole city and keep the.
Well, not saying-
Just
not
that
saying
street.
yes.
Well, we've got to do it in the whole city, so if we paint it, you've got to repaint it for. like,
Okay.
So we're shooting for every other year essentially, that if you're gonna keep up your reflectivity and,
Good.
every other 3 years. We haven't done historically, they've let them go to fade it out.
Well, I don't think we gotta do kind of all up and down.
How
Not
much
all of it, but
Do you know how much it
I'm
costs?
saying to add it,
Yeah.
you're gonna add. What, 10,000 feet, but that's a foot for each line.
Yeah.
That forever, so you've got to, once you're painting it, you're doing it forever, so the cost just adding up.
Well, we can look at
How much
things like
would
that.
it-
But we only want to do it as works.
Cents
That
a
makes
foot.
sense.
And it does kind of add additional touch.
So if you're in the 100,000 a year, is what I was getting.
Okay.
So
Good place to walk.
just crosswalks, the city spends about 30,000 just to keep your paint.
The
on
current
the
crosswalk.
Crosswalks on all the state, right? About
For
30,000.
perspective, $30,000 because the crosswalks you can see.
So they they repaint before the school year and touch up all your, schools on the head, all of the school related crossings are done every year. All crosswalks, all
All
the wording, the side stripe, all of it. Yes.
What if someone gets a 5-gallon bucket and just a roller and just roll it?
We used to do the red curve, that's why a lot of the red curves fail. Look, it's the cost of what you were getting for the red curve, and if you don't enforce it, then there's no point in painting it red.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why a lot of that, we haven't even incorporated that back into our plan, because red curving wasn't effective. We're spending a ton of time, money on something that didn't do anything.
And the only thing I was gonna say, when you talk about doing stuff yourself, because there's government and then there's private solutions, right? And every neighbor, it's your neighbors that are speeding.
Yeah.
My neighbors are the ones speeding. Every neighbor putting up a sign in your own yard saying, please slow down, community, that stuff, you have the ability to do that. And if the
Sure.
government can't do it for you, you can do it, maybe that, I don't.
I think a lot of this is to do, I really appreciate this coming.
Yeah.
I'd like to help you with that.
Don't have your own physical sign.
No, so I,
Or they've done that, we will come talk to you about it, there's something you're following into the.
so I didn't mean to put up stop sign. I just a little green guy.
Stop sign on your signs. Will come.
Consider up speed bumps.
The roadway,
Take pictures.
just never know.
Yep, thanks, guys.
Thanks for hanging out with us so late.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thanks.
Very nice.
Any other public addresses?
To make a motion to close the public hearings.
Second.
Motion Meyer, second, let's close public hearing. All those down. Aye. Maybe this is something that we got on the agenda, not as a public hearing, but as an action item to be brought.
June 25th.
But we don't really have.
So, I guess the question would be, can we wait until then to establish our August 15th as our business taxation?
Yeah, I've already gave the county so they could get us on their schedule, August 13th, so we are scheduling with them.
August 17th is when we would have the truth and taxation.
All right, item 7 then would be pick up elections for public safety, which is why I got all the officers for here, but possible and discussion of possible action to adopt a resolution stating the city's participation in contributing to the Utah retirement system for public safety, resolution 2024-5.
If you can see one of these on your desk, and it's highlighted in yellow.
Yeah.
This is from the retirement system. So they, so part of our retirement with the Utah retirement systems, the city will pay into a pension. We have this tier 2 group. Tier 1 is an older group that's been here before, I think 1991 or something. But all the new people that are coming on, they're going to be in tier 2, either a hybrid or the DC plan. But right now in this hybrid plan, there's a portion. So you see the tier 2, it says hybrid. There's that 0.7%. So this is for public employees. They have to pick up that 0.7% of the retirement on their salary. And there is no opting out. We can't pick it up for them at all. It prohibits us to do it. In public safety, they are allowing cities to pick that up. In the past, we have picked up of that 4.73, so another line down, that's public safety. Of that 4.73, the city has already elected to pick up 2.59%, and we cannot go back on it. Once you make the rule, you can't go back. So the thing is they're saying, okay, cities, you have to do another resolution for us. Either you keep what you have, or you can go up to the 4.73%. But once you do it, there's no going back. On these forms, I've actually circled what the employer or us or the city will be paying. So on the first line, for the public employees, the city picks up 15.19% of the retirement. The employee will have to pick up 0.7. And if you're in the DC plan, the city will also pick up the same 15.9%. Then you go down to public safety. The city will pick up the 25.33% plus the 2.59. So the city's going to pick up 27.92%. And if you're in the DC plan, there's no pickup. The city pays the 25.33. So so it's up to you guys. Do you want to pick up the extra 2.14 or not?
And you can only do it for public safety.
Public safety. You can't do it for
strictly for women.
So any employee that comes on, if they choose this plan, the city will pick it up. We could end up, this is for all these new people that are coming on, they're going to be in this plan. So the city from now on will always have to pick it up. If you have 3 employees, or we may have, our whole department might be in this plan eventually. If you're an older employee, you're going to be in tier 1.
I'm going to ask you a question. I should have asked you before. Do we know what percentage of employees are in the 2 tier? And
Yeah, right now there's 12 in the public, in the public employees. There's 12 of them, I believe. And there's 3 right now in the public safety.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
And of the 12 that's in in the other public employee, it's gonna cost them together $6,000. And actually it's gonna cost the city $6,000 just to pay for those 3 employees extra. So it's up to you
2,000 piece then?
for the public safety about.
So, Mayor, you know, the government is different than the public, and we always have shared stuff, right? You know, it's a matching of 401k or something like that. And I don't know why we feel obligated to pay everything. Pick it all up. But, you know, they want to be, because this is their retirement. Why can't they put something into it? I don't understand why it's just assumed that we pay.
Mhm. And I don't know why in the one, they are prohibiting us to pick it up. We can't even give them bonuses or anything to make up the difference.
Yeah, it's.
I don't know the
I
difference.
just don't understand why that's expected of the city to just
Mhm.
pay it all. I don't,
Yeah, and you don't have to.
I don't.
This is an
I'm saying
option.
that's right,
How did the 2.59?
That was the top limit at that time when the city picked it up. And that was 2 years ago, and that was the top, and the city paid for it. And now it's gone up this year to 4.73.
Yeah, the state law.
And you can't go back.
We offered at one point to take all
Uh-huh.
of it. Now,
So the that benefit long term, correct? I mean, that's, as long as they work, as long as they work, they pay in.
Goes into their,
And get, they get a return. I would say. For now. Motion? Yeah.
I think this is different in tier one and tier two. When I started, it was all tier one. And then the legislature changed it where instead of a 50% 20-year retirement, they made it a 37% 25-year. Which really hammered the employee. So what I believe we're talking about here is just to give them a 50%, but still 25-year retirement. That's what most all agencies have done now with tier two officers, which all officers coming on now with tier two.
It's the investment in their future. That they pay them to this year. Or we fund it all, which.
They'll just get a lesser retirement.
no, it's the same retirement. They have to put into it. It won't be a lesser retirement. It will be set.
Yeah, it won't change that. It's just the contribution amount.
Just-
So
yeah.
they've increased the contribution amount and they're asking cities, are you picking this up? Or do you want the employees to pick this increase up?
Yeah, so they're putting something into it. Where we could say, oh, yes, we're gonna give you that percentage. Since it's a raise, they get.
2.59% is what the difference, that's the delta between what it was and what.
No,
2.14. That's the delta. So then the employee would put in 2.14%, and the city would pay. 2.59.
It's fair. You know, I think we should look at public employees. They're saying, and I don't know why they did this, other than law enforcement must have a better lobby, but they're saying, you now pay 0.70. I don't know what percentage that is. Somebody can figure it out, what percentage that is of the total payment. But so I think we should make it the same percentage so that we're paying the same for laws we're paying for. In other words, I don't know that we stay at 2.59, but I don't think we go to 4.73. I think we look at the percentage. You know, if that percentage is 5%, whatever, just looking at 15.19.7. If whatever that percentage is, we could. I don't think we want to do more.
I don't know if you have it backwards, but we're not picking up anything on the public
I know that's what I'm saying.
employee. But
That's
we're
what I'm
already
saying.
picking up
We would not want
2.59.
to Pick up any more, so there's a percentage that the public employee now has,
Right.
Uh-huh.
in the past, they've gotten all,
Mhm.
right? And I'm saying we should not exceed, and it should be the same, if the public, somebody will figure that out, 10% would be $1.50. Is that money?
Yeah, more of it's money.
It's about 94 it's about 5%, right? What they gonna pay?
It's 4%, 0.7.
4 point something.
0.7 is 4%. Exactly, it's 4.
There's just states.
I just rounded it. So what I'm saying is, I don't know what 4.4 of the 2533 is.
Well,
No, we're picking up the 2533, and then we're also picking up 2.59, So the city's picking up 27.72 already,
On top of the 25.
on top of the 25.33.
Yeah, so that's the
So
employer.
there are additional, how much are they gonna have to pay additional? 2.1.
2.14
I think they let them.
percentage, so so it's not,
So. 6.4. So,
And I think this is what's confusing, because this says it's the employee's responsibility, but we're picking up for that right now, right?
yes, we're picking up this and this, but that is the same as this, so we're treating
Police
this
officers
group
are
differently.
And this one's going up as well, right?
Yeah, but these two tiers.
So if you
we're
took
paying the same.
2533 times it by 1.044, you'd get 2644. So we are already paying more. for that officer.
Correct, and that's because of what's allowed in the state.
So we
Yeah.
can't reduce that.
No, yeah,
So that's all I'm saying. It's what's fair is fair. We can't.
Mayor, I'll make a motion just to get us all the money, I guess. I will, I'll make a motion that we do not fund that 2.7.
So you have a resolution, so the resolution, you still have to do the 2.59 previous.
What we're doing, we're.
Okay.
To maintain the current.
Okay.
Maintain, I make a motion to maintain the current, payment, but do not increase their 2.1%.
Okay, and it's resolution.
The resolution
24.
number policy 24 dash,
I'll second it.
and 2024 dash M.
And motion like this, and second by Gary. Further discussion. Roll call vote, Harrington?
Yes.
Gibson?
Yes.
Marriott? Yes. Nelson?
Yes.
Mary? Motion carries. Okay. I think it's interesting that they said, oh, the city can't pick up that, because it is going to affect police, fire, everything. I'm saying, now saying to all of them, they.
Yeah, I mean, the gripes with the legislature, it's not with the city.
well, and even creating the 2-tier, I mean, the
Oh, that
second
is-
tier two, it's really challenging because it's really not a fair thing. There's not parity in
So,
retirement.
tier one,
So,
public- Tier one.
yes, barely,
So
by the
the
skin of my
tier-
teeth.
when I was a tier one, you got 2% for every year you work. And you had to work 30 years, and you could retire in the next. So you work 30 years, you get 60%. Now, you have to work 35 years, and you get 1%. So you're working 5 years longer, and you get a 35%. So
That's
No, that's what the chief was talking about. I mean, it's just mad.
Security. See,
It's such a.
and it's the government worker versus the private. And then there's a huge difference there. I mean, I wish I was a public. You know, God, I wish work without the public, whatever, because there's so many benefits to that. And the private is just.
Well, there is, like, my dad's son, and my mother. Somebody else is doing it.
Okay, item A, membership in Utah retirement system, discuss the past block and the qualifying membership in Utah retirement system policy 2024-3 lines.
Okay, we are being audited by the URS, and they do it every so often. So he looked at our policy and says that we have to have a policy updated for the planning commission to designate them as part-time and that they are not eligible for retirement benefits. So, and I've already sent this to the URS and he didn't respond saying it was bad, so
We're gonna.
we're gonna go for it.
You have policy 2024-3, you know, here we have. Policy, okay. Do we need to roll call that as policies?
Yeah, it's,
Okay.
Mayor, make a motion to approve policy 2024-3.
I'll second.
Yeah, motion by Nelson, second by Harrington, roll call vote, Harrington.
Yes.
Gibson. Mary? Yes. Nelson?
Yes.
Gary? Motion carries, all yes. All right, other business. Anybody want to skip other business? You got something?
I don't have anything.
For business?
Officer Van Beek was retiring on 27th.
This one.
You're having one thing, right?
And I'm so sorry, chief, I was gonna send out your invite and I haven't yet, but I have a draft ready to go.
We're still down in mechanic, you know, one, heavy equipment,
Try to
love
talk.
to have one.
Okay. Anybody else?
No.
Close the meeting, that's three close the meetings we need to have.
Holding my leg.
All right, item 11.
We don't have any closed meeting.
Right there.
We do have an RDA meeting.
Oh,
Oh, that's right. I forgot about it.
all right, it's convened in the redevelopment meeting of the city to speak with Green Cloud.
That's good. Thanks, Amy. Amy.
Now, 9:15. First item is consent for the minutes of May 4th, 2024.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes. A 14.
RDA.
Second.
Okay, motion by.
Aye.
It was on the back of your.
Oh, here it is.
Second to last page of the packet.
The back page.
Invite us more time.
Motion carries. Public hearing. Motion go to a public hearing. Demand the 2023-24.
Second.
Motion by Eric, second by Eric, all fair say aye. Public addresses.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Eric, second by Eric, close public hearing on Sunday.
That was so fast. We did one first. Sarah and okay.
Thanks, Morgan.
Okay, thanks.
All right,
Okay.
what are we amending?
This is the RDA. The only thing I think that we changed was we took out the membership to EDC Utah. And everything was
This
the
is
same
new
from
one
the
though,
last.
right? Not the current one.
Oh,
When we
yeah.
amended. Don't jump.
I put my stuff away and thought we were gonna walk out.
I'm the only one that wants to do an RDA meeting currently.
I don't think there was anything.
So I don't think there's anything of substance being amended in this current fiscal year. Was there?
No, nothing in
No.
this year.
Okay.
Okay. Do we want to go ahead and disapprove that? Or we want to carry that on to June?
Let's just carry it on. Let's do it fast.
I'll entertain a motion to go into a public hearing to discuss the possible action about 2024-25 school year budget.
Second.
For your reason, Larry, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any members of the public wish to address us?
Mayor, I'd like to close the public hearing.
Second.
Councilman Gaines, Larry, all in favor, say aye. And this is the one that we've taken the, you want to hit that real quick?
I am so happy to, so fast. So we,
Consider remaining.
yeah, Ann and Sarah are on our economic development committee. We really don't feel like we're getting a ton of value out of EDC Utah. So the mayor and I looked and it's $3,000. We can still work with them. We can still go to ICSC, whatever the abbreviation is. Yeah, but the point being, we just don't see the value in paying $3,000 a year for it. So the proposal is to remove it. That was longer than it needed to
And
be.
we're going to carry that on to the 25th also.
Mhm.
Change to that. Is that only on the agenda?
That's all.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Eric, second by Eric, and all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Any other meeting you want us to go?